guys get them likes up, y'all. Get them likes up. Guys, welcome to Lapeef Sports on the Lapeef Network. And it's just the crew real quick. We got Cal, we got Sway in the morning, Avon, Jay, Pink, and myself on Lapeef JR. Welcome to Lapeef Sports. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on, fellas?
Chilling, brother. What's going on?
Happy Sunday. Made it through another one.
Good morning. Good morning.
Absolutely.
Get the crust out your eyes.
JR, how you doing, baby, after your water died?
It was cool, man. It was cool. I feel a little bit more disciplined than I was. I think the challenge was great, man. One of the things that I appreciate, even though I hate it, and hate is such a strong word, according to my mother, but I dislike having to go through it. But I think it's necessary to push our bodies to the limit. Especially when it benefits. You never know when you might need to survive. I mean, just a sacrifice alone, being able to give up something that most people think in their heads that they can't give up. It was a great thing, man. I survived. I look forward to the many other challenges that I set forth for myself. So,
What did you get rid of?
I did water for 3 days.
You did water?
Yeah, it was a water fast for 3 days.
You got rid of water?
No, I drank.
Oh, you only drank water. Oh,
yes. Yeah. So,
How much did you take a weight count? How much you lost? Or how much you think?
Here's the thing. I don't think I lost too much. You know, you can't really tell. I think you lose the water weight, but I don't think it was too long. You might do like 2 or 3 pounds depending on when you weigh yourself. The best time to weigh yourself is in the morning, but I can't really gauge how much you really lose, because once you start back eating, depending on how you start back, it's going to determine, whether that water weight comes back or not. But 9 times it will. But what it does do is it does shrink your stomach a little bit. Anytime you go without food, your stomach naturally shrinks, and then so you get full a little quicker. But depending on if you go back eating like a rampage, I don't know how people eat, then that stomach can expand back out, and then it'll be stretched out enough, and you'll be stuffing yourself. One of the things that I learned, when you eat, the goal is just to get a little bit full. You can always come back that second go round and actually eat some more, or eat a little bit later. We either eat it a little bit till you get full and then top it off with some water. We either drink some water on the front end and then top it off with the food. But back in the day, I used to just eat till I was just sick and I felt miserable. You couldn't even lean over to even tie your shoe because it was just so much food packed up in there. And I think that a lot of people don't really understand that. Also, I'm one of those people that don't chew my food. I don't know the exact number. So I'm usually like chewing a couple times and then I swallow. Yeah, right. And then it be getting stuck here. You need that water. You feel like you're about to damn near choke. So I think some of the other important things that I'm hoping that I don't do it, but I'm hoping other people can understand the value of chewing your food until it's tiny and then swallow it.
Yeah, I need some discipline like that, man, because I used to have that problem too, where I just, I didn't know just eat till because, when we were raised, we were always taught, you better eat everything on that plate, but then when you get older, you shouldn't, because everything on that plate got us looking crazy, you know what I mean? So, but I remember I would just eat till I was like obnoxious, like you said, man. I remember me and my girl at the time and went out to eat, and I ate so much, dog. Like I had to drive home with my shirt off, man. Like I was mad uncomfortable, dog. People looking in the car like, yo, this nigga got his shirt off, and we was dressed up too. It was like a black tie fit, fam. I came out the blazer, the button up, just suit pants, gut.
Hold on, Jay. So listen, the bell wasn't good enough for you, huh, big brother?
Nah, bro. I
You
was
gotta
like,
come out.
I
Okay, I know that's right.
yes, man.
We're talking about weight. I mean, most people's problem is they eat too much. They'll eat 4 or 5 times a day. You know what I mean? If you're really trying to lose weight, you need a calorie deficiency. So maybe 2 times a day and, fast for one, like skip a meal, eat breakfast and dinner, or, eat lunch and dinner, or eat breakfast and lunch. You know what I mean? And do that for like 2 weeks. I'm sure you'll lose quite a bit of weight. You need, and then it's the portions too. You guys were talking about, eating so much. I want to finish my plate. I'll go to Thanksgiving now, tell my mom, like, don't fill my plate up with like, massive amount of stuff. I'm not gonna be able to eat all that. And I don't want you to feel bad because she'll feel like, oh, is something wrong with the food? I'm like, nah, ma, I just can't eat all that food. You know what I mean? I know you want to make me get big and fat. And, I'm like, nah, give me smaller portions and I'll finish all of it. I can't eat, half a plate of mac and cheese, another half a plate of fried chicken, another fourth plate of collard greens, another fourth plate of deviled eggs, another fourth of a plate of yams. Like, that's too much food. I can't be eating all that. So,
Yeah, I feel you. I've been telling my mom the same thing. Like, you got to incorporate a little bit of vegetable in there. Your middle of the day meal could just be an apple. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely try to encourage that. Crazy exercise. I like to do high interval training because I'm not much into weights, but basketball, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of running around, wind sprints. I have an elliptical at the crib. So in addition to the water diet, I think exercising is a great way to speed up your metabolism, speed up the process a little bit. And then with your fasting, I just feel like your body will tighten up real quick. And then as long as you maintain a diet, get your seeds in. You can get a big bag of flax seed and hemp seed and chia seeds off of Amazon. It's like $20. And just sprinkle that over your food every time you eat. And now you're getting, your seeds in, your almonds, get you a big thing of almonds. So, there's plenty of ways to kind of reset your system. I've done it a couple of times. So I maintain a pretty good weight, and I try to tell my whole family, like, hey, you guys want to know, it's not that I'm starving myself. This is just how I eat. So, but it's great to hear, a 3-day water diet. That sounds incredible. I've never done that.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
What the crazy part is for some of us, man, it comes from athletes, from sports, man. I was a guy who, when I left high school to go play college football, I was 168 pounds, man. Going to go try to play college football. I was playing quarterback. There was a RPO part to the offense where I knew I was going to have to take contact. It was like, bro, we can't run you out here at 168 running the option. It's not going to happen. So I remember, I think it was that first summer after my high school year, they had me eating. I was eating like 4,000 calories a day, bro. Like, that's insane if you really think about how much 4,000 calories is. And the problem is I retained those eating habits post-athletic career. You know what I'm saying? So it felt normal to eat, 6 eggs in the morning and like a whole thing of corned beef hash, about 3 full pancakes, because that's what I had to do to gain weight. So it didn't, but by the time I was 25, it's 260 pounds, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, Abe, because like I said, when I came out of high school, I was 215. They said in order to play, I got to be at 235. So I'm going down to the stadium getting drink shakes. Now, this may be before a lot of y'all time, but I had to go get them shakes.
Oh, yeah.
Them weight gainer shakes. So, yeah, and back then we only had 2 flavors. Well, we had 3. We had vanilla, you had chocolate, and then you had a banana. That was it. And that shit was chalky as hell. It wasn't like what they are now. They was chalky as hell, and it's like hard as hell to stomach them. But you had to put them down. You couldn't leave that room until you finish that glass.
You see it with these guys when they retire from the league, especially the linemen. Like, you look like, who's the guy that's on ESPN? Mark Schler. Like, that dude he looked like he played basketball or something.
Yeah, he lost a person, didn't he?
Yeah.
I tell you, him and Joe Thomas. You ever see him on the NFL Network? He looks totally different. But JR turned me on to something, man. I've been on it for probably about, I guess, 3 weeks now. I don't know when it was, JR. But when you sit there and made the statement talk about your stomach shrinking, man, it does. And it did. And when I was just going on liquid on Tuesdays and Thursdays, man, I can't eat like I used to. And I sit there and told him, I said, I just can't. I just don't want to. I don't have the desire. Now I'll get it, but it'll just be there and then I'll just waste it. Because like I said, I don't want to force myself to the point where I'm going to have to take my shirt off like my man Jay. But man, I just couldn't do it.
How many of us used to finish a whole pizza by itself? We used to be like, yeah, I could just finish a whole pizza by itself, chilling. I cannot do that no more.
I mean, especially in college, we used to do that shit. But Hank, how's it been working for you? You still sticking with it?
Man, I'm still with it, brother. I'm
That's
still
what's
with it.
up,
Matter of
man.
fact, I'm even taking it a little bit further. I'm going Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays with just liquid.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
took it a
like
step further.
if you don't mind me asking, how many pounds you done lost already?
Man, probably about 10 for sure. Now I haven't been on the scale since probably the second week of doing it,
Hmm.
but I lost about 10 pounds. But what I've been told, I look like I lost more than that. So I need to probably get back on the scale and check it out.
Oh yeah, that's what's up, man. That's dope, man. I think we need to
I
probably get the
appreciate that,
show.
brother. Thank you.
Yeah, let's get the show started, man. But before we
Yes,
do,
sir.
just in case you guys don't know, we are live in Houston. That link is posted at the top of the chat. Just saying a few people bought some tickets this morning. We appreciate all the support. If you haven't, you might want to get you a ticket because once this is sold out, it's sold out. Nothing we can do. There's a capacity limit. So make sure you guys go ahead and cop that ticket. Also, shout out to the sponsor, Teej Hanley. Shout out to Teej Hanley. They're the sponsor of the show. And that link is posted in the description. You get 30% off along with a free gift. So that's the only way you're able to get it, man. Go ahead and click that Lapeef link and go ahead and get your gift. Man, it does wonders, man. They got so much stuff, man. The primary focus is skincare. There's a routine for the morning and the evening. But they also got like lip balm and exfoliating soap for the body. They got a mask. They got some other little goodies you can add to the skincare routine. So check them out, man. I highly recommend them. I know you guys been seeing it all over. It's the real deal, man. And they're based out of Chicago, just in case Chicago folks didn't notice. But they're based out of Chicago. So shout out to Teej Hanley, the sponsor of the show. Hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. The show is just beginning. So make sure you guys share that link as well. Share it to somebody right now before we get started. I know normally we kind of dive into sports, and I thought it was a lot of good things that came out of that Floyd Mayweather interview that he did with the Pivot podcast. Shout out to the Pivot podcast. It's my first time really seeing them. I just seen it, came in to recommend to check it out. Decided to check it out, and since we do sports on Sunday and it was sports related, I thought he dropped a lot of gems in there. So, me and Cal gonna kind of comb through those things. Put your seatbelts on, man. It's gonna be a ride, man. It's gonna be a roller coaster. In a good way, man. In a good way. A great conversation that's ahead. Guys, ready? Y'all good?
Yeah, man. Let's get to it.
Hey man, let's make these folks come up out their shirt, baby.
Yeah. So Floyd Mayweather, pretty sure everybody knows him. If somebody tell me they don't know him, I would think they would be lying because he is definitely one of those icon figures that everybody knows. I mean, even the kids are growing up to know him. I think it'd probably be weird when I hear kids say, "Who's Floyd Mayweather?" Then that's when I probably realize how old I am, right? But to kind of kick it off, Floyd kicked off the conversation by saying this one thing that his father said. His father taught him the less you get hit, the longer. Damn, I only had a question right there. That's crazy. My fault, man. This is what happens when you do shit live, man, and not playing. But I mean, I kind of wanted to put exactly what he said, but he said the less you get hit, the longer.
Your
I still
last,
didn't
I
even got it in
believe.
my notes. Yeah, the longer you'll last. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to say the exact words, but basically, like the less you get hit, the longer you're able to box. That's how I took it, right? I think that's something we can apply in the sports and as well as certain sports and as well as life, right? So let's talk about it, man. That was something that was powerful that was said. I kind of want to see if we can unpack that a little bit and get you guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, man. I mean, boxing's been around forever, and yet it seems like Floyd Mayweather, kind of reinvented the idea that boxing is a science to where the main thing you do is not get punched. And then second to that is you're counter punching and you lasting through fights. So, I think that he gets a lot of crazy criticism behind that idea that, in this day and age where MMA was still kind of on the rise and it was still a lot more brutal with the Chuck Liddells in those days where, guys were getting in the octagon and absolutely beating the crap out of each other. And then you look at boxing when Floyd was really at his height, which was the mid 2000s, pretty much, he was, for the most part, not getting hit. And then there was a couple fights where he did not use his dad as his defensive coach. And, he got beat up pretty bad, even though he won those fights, obviously, he still came away with, all swole up. So I think he both had the experience and the wisdom to know. Plus, look at all the previous boxers before him who have, gone toe to toe and just stood in the ring with somebody in the middle and just trade blows. All those people, with the exception of maybe Sugar Ray Leonard, they're all, you really don't see them. I mean, they're all either a little bit slower, they're maybe not as sharp. Some of them are doing TV, but I feel like with the number of famous boxers that we had, we don't necessarily see them doing broadcasts or doing, a lot of interviews these days. So I can imagine that unless they just don't want to be around, their health may not be in the best position. So I think that was great advice that Floyd's dad was giving him. And then I think when Floyd went away from that, he felt the impact of, I can't just be in here, trading blows with guys like Miguel Cotto and things like that, where, these are hard hitting, fierce guys who they want to get in there and punch with you. Matter of fact, that's what the scouting report or whatever you want to call it, that's what they say. If you can get in there and trade blows with Floyd Mayweather, you might stand a chance. So I think it's great advice. And then as far as life goes, I mean, yeah, you can translate it, really easy to life. So I was definitely with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll start off with the life portion of it, man. You ever see like a 19-year-old or maybe a 25-year-old, and you're probably 20 years older than him, but he looks older than you?
Man, bro. Yep.
That's taking too
Yeah,
many
for
hits.
sure.
That's taking too many hits too early, man. So that is that's an example of it. And not being able to do what you want to do because you're putting yourself in positions where you're lessening the chance of succeeding, and that can be in variety of things, man. Dealing with a woman, the women that you're picking, where you looking crazy, you dating a chick at the job and she's wild, you shouldn't be dating her. Or dealing with, janky people, what I'm saying, scammers, people that are hard workers that look to get over on you. After a while, when you're young, you could take a few blows and bounce back, but when you get older, it start to hurt a lot more, start to hurt a lot more.
What they say hard times make hard people. You know what I mean? And I've been through a lot of shit in my life. And I think I used to carry it around as a badge of honor. Like, look what I've been through. Look at, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at all this bullshit I done survived. The problem is that it makes me hard towards other people. It makes me callous towards other people. And I have to check myself sometimes and remember that everybody didn't go through what I went through. And everybody didn't suffer what I suffer. And I have to kind of, put myself in a position to understand that I can't grind other people into the ground the way I was ground into the ground. You know, so I'm trying to develop more empathy. I mean, even in my own relationship with my woman, my family, man, I'm hard on people, man, and I've learned that I've had to kind of check that because everybody ain't built like me, and everybody wasn't made to be like me. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to, y'all ever heard that Fabo song, "This Is How You Made Me"? You ever heard that one before, man? Like, so essentially in the song, he basically saying that when I was coming up, y'all basically treated me like crap, so I'm gonna basically survive this and do what I'm gonna do and treat everybody else like crap. And I'll be the first one to admit I subscribe to that a little too hard, man. I'm trying to change that around, try to not bring my traumas on other people because I was able to survive mine.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about these like traumatic situations where you're going through combat or you're going through, just something that I guess normal people wouldn't really think about, or you would see on TV, like that won't ever happen to me situation. Um, a lot of times these people, when they're like, so let's say military officers, porn stars, I'm sure Congress people, they have like terms to separate themselves from normal people. They'll call normal people like us civilians, and because they know that they cannot necessarily they can't interact, they can't relate, they can't mesh the same because they know they lived a different life than most people, and that their past traumas and experiences or whatever, they're going to reflect a lot differently than most. They're not going to come in a situation just like, giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. Most of the time they'll probably be scanning, looking like, I'm gonna wait until you say, they just, their minds is different, so they distinguish themselves early. They know they're not normal. They say, I'm not a civilian, y'all are civilians. I've been a part of a whole different lifestyle that, I have to acknowledge that I'm different than you, or I might react, or you might see me, you might think I'm normal, but I'm not. I've been in the military, I've been over Afghanistan, or I've been across seas for my past 20 years in war zones or in special insurgencies, part of some type of special forces. I can't think, move, look like y'all no more. I'm done, and I have to acknowledge that, and then you have to move accordingly. I think a lot of these people understand that. I'm sure pro athletes understand that. Floyd, he's like, I'm not a civilian no more. I'm different. I'm a different breed. I have to move differently. I have to say my words differently. I have to act, compose myself differently. I have to look at everybody else differently. Like, this is just the type of people, when you go into these extreme fields, that most people don't want to do, most people can't do, most people couldn't imagine themselves doing, or is just so traumatic that they wish upon the gods that this will never happen to them. Like, let's say the Ukraine people. We personally in America have never been in war, never been in a war zone in America. Imagine living in Ukraine and you got missiles coming down at your backyard. That's a different experience. Imagine people, coming in your house, or let's say you got the whole thing with the train situation now. All those men who had to stay back and had to see their wives and kids off, those men are like, their brains is done now. Like, they can't ever go back to feeling like normal citizens no more because they just fought for their country. They're war heroes now.
Yeah,
So it's different.
Perfect example of that. So remember I told you I went back to college late in the game, my late 20s. And my best friend down at U of I was a guy who had done 4 tours, 2 in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. So he was coming up. He was from Springfield. He was coming up to Chicago to come kick it with me. Man, got off at the wrong exit, found himself off like 18th Street over in Pilsen. And this was Pilsen before Pilsen was gentrified. This was real Pilsen. Kid tried to carjack him in the gas station, put a pistol in the window, and his reaction instead of was give up the car, he yanked Buddy into the car and beat his ass. Like, that's what like, once you've experienced trauma, once you've experienced warfare, unfortunately, it disrupts your reality of what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. Like, when he told me that story, I'm like, dog, he could have put your brains on the dashboard, bro. These young dudes is wild. But he wasn't even thinking about that. He was so upset that somebody put a pistol in his face that he snatched Buddy up. And that, like I said, that trauma and them taking them hits, man, like, it, on one hand, it makes you be able to survive more things, but on the other hand, it puts you in danger because you lose your sense of reality, man.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, man. And the hits he's talking about, man, when we refer to life, we talk about, I done took some financial hits, so some that
Financial trauma is real, bro.
yeah, I mean, it really is. And some major, I made some bad investments. I made some good investments. I came up and I made some downs, but it happens. It's all part of life, but these are the hits that, the different hits I believe he's talking about. But as far as that interview with Floyd, man, he this guy has been through a lot of stuff. Financially, he's benefit from a lot of things he's done in the boxing world, outside the boxing world. But as far as his relationship, as far as with women, it's not been good. So he's been taking some hits with that, with his as far as his name. A lot of people, hate on him because of, his relationships with women. And so I don't, as a person, I don't respect Floyd, but as a boxer, man, I give him nothing but the utmost respect. So I guess I may be one of the ones he's taking a hit from, because I don't respect him as a man, but that's just me.
Well, Floyd also talked about, financials came up for a little second. So I feel like Floyd also spoke about, giving away to charity, giving away, some of his riches to people who are in need. Does that help him at all in terms of the way you feel about him? You know, I think that a person in his position probably has, you know, 100 people, if not more, you know, asking him for one thing or the other. I'm sure, you know, his company employs another 200-300 people. So I always wonder, you know, if he's right in feeling like you really can't give away a lot of your money, even though, you know, in this interview, he was alluding to the fact that he's got way more money than was reported. And Floyd is, you know, half a billionaire, if not more. So a man in his position, he could probably stand to give away money. And I'm sure he has, you know, but how do y'all feel in regards to him continuing to be a big person, give away to charity versus giving away to, you know, your homeboy, versus putting people in
Come on,
different
hold on, hold on,
positions
hold
with
on.
food.
You just say charity, bro. We all know charity is just a tax write-off. Come on, bro.
Well,
He
yeah,
giving
I
away
mean,
to charity because
you know,
he not trying to owe taxes at the end of the year, which is fine. You know, give money away somewhere. But I think he's smart. You know, if you listen to it, like you said, Brent, you know, he got rid of his $750,000 contract, bought himself out, so then he could start making 750 million. This guy did the smart moves, and I think he's getting more business savvy as the time goes on, and I don't think he'll ever be broke. He is set for life.
That's the thing, man. And we could probably touch this at the end of the show, but I think Floyd is going broke, man. I feel like he's going
really, you
broke.
think he's going
We could
broke?
talk,
I
we
mean,
could
it
get
would
further into.
match
I
up
don't
with
want to
Yeah,
throw it off.
it would
yeah.
match up with a lot of other boxers, man. You know, that's the history, man. A lot. How many boxers can you can name 20 guys who went through the same thing? They'll have 9 figures in the bank, and then you turn around 5 years later, they fighting, you know, Butterbean for 100 grand in Vegas somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Just the moves he's making, man. Just the moves he's making, and just imagine you.
When
Wait,
you
I
say
so
the
know
moves
doing
that
it.
he making, what moves
I,
is he making, Jay?
how do you feel about broke? Like, explain it. What do you mean?
Okay, so when people say broke, you thinking like by our standards, but I'm talking about broke by millionaire standards. I would guess I would put his monthly expenses. Maybe our monthly expenses may be like 2,500, 3,000 a month, the average person, depending where you live. His expenses, multiple mansions, heating, air, electricity, women. Let's put his monthly expenses at like 25,000, 30,000, and I'm being, gracious. I think it's more than that
Probably
because
more
you
than
see how
that.
he spends.
Yeah.
If you look at the moves he's making, Jake Paul hasn't been paid yet. The funny stuff he's doing with the money, and this was back when, yeah, you ain't know that even Jake Paul ain't been
No, I
paid.
did not. Wow.
Yeah, he
Well, what
hasn't been
happened
paid
with
his
that?
money.
But this is how Floyd explained it. He said that the TV money and some of the other money from a fight, it takes a long time for that check to really get written in terms of the gate and all of that. I imagine he gets paid because his company is the promoter or one of the promoters, so he may see a check for just Mayweather Productions or whatever before he sees a check that says Floyd Mayweather on it. So Jake Paul was probably thinking, I'm gonna get a check, as I'm walking out the door after this fight. And I feel like that's how Floyd explained it away. I'm not into boxing. I don't know the business of boxing or pay-per-views and how all of that goes. But
Don't you ask that though?
Yeah,
Don't you
Logan.
ask that
or Logan Paul,
beforehand?
pardon me.
You know what I mean? Like, don't you ask? Like every time I've done any type of real estate deal, I need to know when closing is, man. We're not gonna leave that as an open-ended question. I need to know when I'm getting paid before I sign anything. So that tells me more about Logan Paul than it does about Floyd.
I will agree with you on
yeah.
one case though, Jay. I bet his boxing business is probably not as lucrative as he would have thought it would have been, you know what I mean? Let's say 10 years ago. I feel like there was a whole stable of fighters that I thought boxing was going to be having big fights. Every 6 months, it was going to be a big fight. And it was going to be Mayweather. It was going to be Oscar De La Hoya. They were going to be taking turns with that Golden Boy. They were going to be taking turns, putting up these big fight nights. And that has not happened. And so I think from a boxing standpoint, to call it broke, in the more in the emotional sense, yeah. I mean, boxing is definitely, that's why I say boxing is not in the greatest space. I mean, if not for these celebrity boxing matches, we really have a true boxing match maybe once a year. And the last couple of years has been Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, really. So I think from a boxing standpoint, yeah, it might not be as good, but his business, just in his dollar amount, I mean, I believe him when he says I've made some good investments, and there's been companies that I've had invested in that don't have anything to do with anything, or he's got businesses in Japan and Asia and all these different.
Hold on. You're moving too fast, guy.
Okay, right.
I
I'm
think
just
you were
saying.
just trying to prove Jay's point because Jay was trying to say he's going to be broke. Like you gotta understand when you were
Just keep
talking about these
watching.
old heads.
Keep
You talking about
watching.
these old heads, bro. You think they were making the amount of money that these boxers are making now, or Floyd is making now? No, they won't make it nowhere close to this. They might be in the low 8 figures or low 7 figures or whatever, but they is not up there with Floyd's bankroll from a boxing match. None of them was making upwards of $50 million for a fight.
You got
None
to
of them.
count in inflation with that, Kyle.
I-
$7 million in '95 was a lot of money, bro.
It's
But
also easy to burn through.
yeah, no, but that was going to be my follow up is that whether it's 7 million in '95 or 77 million in 2022, if you're spending more than you're bringing in, you're gonna go broke. And if he's still in a mindset where spending makes him feel good and spending makes him feel important and spending makes him feel like the rich man he always wanted to be, he's gonna go broke, man.
Yeah, when he was
I
talking
don't.
about them charities, I think he was kind of hitting on a point that just because you're rich and you have money, like people want you to kind of give it all away to charity, right? You're supposed to get every single thing. And like I'm kind of with him. I mean, to me, people pocket watch. I mean, even our family, our friends, YouTube, whatever the case may be, people are just like pocket watching. So, just because you have all these millions of dollars don't mean you have to give it away. And who's to say that you're not giving it away? Like we live in this world where people think that we have to announce like, when we're giving things away, and I don't think that's the case.
Well, I feel
Yeah,
like with
for me
Floyd,
to for
go
me,
ahead.
if you're sitting there bragging and telling them about how much you give and what you giving, it's not sincere. Not to me. Nothing sincere about that. If I'm telling, well, I gave $1 million away. No, I don't want anybody to know how much I gave away. Even if I just gave $5, it's not for nobody else's business to know. It's between me and that's between me and my pockets. That's the only person who it should matter to. The amount shouldn't matter, and what charity I donate shouldn't matter. At the end of the day, I feel good about what I've done. I gave a certain amount to this organization that I feel and I trust and I believe in. And that's all that should matter. It shouldn't matter how much, because when they sit there and do it, like you said, it's all a publicity stunt to me. If they sit there and making this check was for this amount, okay, man, was you really about this, or was you like you said, like Troy was saying, was it just for your tax write off, or what is a publicity stunt just to show people or show off or show out? Is that the real reason why you're doing it? No, then the real reason shouldn't be that.
Well, do we consider Floyd to be I don't want to use the word role model, but do we consider him to be like a elder or anything like that? Because I asked that question because when he spends his money, I feel like he spends his money very publicly in a lot of ways. So and this is really just a question, devil's advocate, do you think that he should also be advertising his charity work in the same public way? I mean, we know Floyd as Money Mayweather, throwing money in a strip club, buying every single car ever invented, dripping in diamonds every time we see him, got clothes on we've never seen, six, seven women with him, everybody dripped. But then when it comes to charity, it's, I don't want anybody to know the charities I donate to. So I'm just curious if there's any responsibility at all or any kind of thought on the difference between spending your money publicly frivolously versus sending it to good causes privately.
It's nobody's
Absolutely.
business to me. I don't
No.
think it's nobody's business, in my opinion, because you never know. Some of your investors may not agree with who you're donating your money to, and that can affect your investments. And that's not cool. Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to give back. Doesn't matter who it's for. I'm just trying to give back. And like I said, what if your investor's not into it and they want to pull out on the deal because they don't feel like you're investing in some stuff that we're part of that's right for this organization. Now we got a problem. So no, I don't think so. Just my opinion, though.
Yeah, if you don't have an
I
open
think
endorsement, I would just stay silent because then that keeps your investors, on your side because you don't make them look bad. You can basically look a fool as long as you're paying them or as long as they pay. You know what I mean? They don't really care as long as they're not connected to you publicly. Y'all can still have a business deal. It's not like LeBron Nike deal where he can't even say anything bad about Nike or anything bad in the public anymore because everybody knows he's sponsored by Nike. So Nike's going to drop him. Well, they can't anymore. He has a lifetime contract. But before, they would have dropped him if he was out, saying some crazy stuff, doing some hot stuff, acting a fool because he's publicly known to be associated with Nike.
I mean, I think I say I hope like his boxers and the young dude from Baltimore or whatever. I hope that he's as much as he's spending in front of them and showing off. I hope that he's showing them where to invest, how to invest. As far as to donate. That's what I hope because that's the thing, man. Like you look at AB, man. AB he's not looking good, man. And he was the flashy one. But he's watching Mayweather trying to keep up with Mayweather, and it's like, fam, his checks and your checks are not the same thing. And you out there trying to keep up with him now, AB is looking a little ashy, man. You know what I mean? It's not looking good. So I hope that he is showing them how to invest, what to do with their money so that they can be here 20, 30 years down the line.
Or Javante Davis. I mean, he's supposed to be the next one up. You know what I'm saying? And I would hope that from a lot of different standpoints, especially financially, that he's given his time to his fighters. I imagine that if he has any champions outside of Javante Davis, I don't know, without looking it up, but I think that he is in a position where he should maybe not necessarily be giving his money away, but definitely trying to position some of these fighters who haven't fought or aren't seeing the success that he sees, to at least try to put them in position to be educated on how to get their money right. Because you figure he's got all these connections. He talks a lot about being around Al Heyman, being around all these different financial investors. So hopefully he's spreading that knowledge around and not just keeping it to himself. Because again, Jay, to your point about him being broke, I just can't imagine him not having made, crazy investments around the world. But
it doesn't. But the thing is,
I don't, that may be a different story.
The investments don't even matter though, really, because like this guy can go anywhere. He went overseas and fought in China. Was that where he fought?
Yes.
Bro, I don't think people realize how much they will pay him to play over there. I mean, to fight over there. If you look at the soccer league, there are a lot of old soccer players that will go to China just for a bag. There's this guy who's average at best. He was on the Brazilian team. They call him Hulk. This guy signed overseas in China just because they want to pay him $100 million over instead of like the other countries where it did the better leagues. He would have got like a fifth of that. He probably would have made like 10 mil. They will pay you so much more in these overseas countries if you can bring publicity, fans, whatever. They don't even need you to be the best. They don't need Cristiano Ronaldo. If you can bring interest and money and revenue to the sport, they will sign you for huge contracts. If he went overseas right now and fought another person in China, this man can make 200, 300, 400, 500. You don't even know. Like, I'm just saying, this guy can fight one fight, guaranteed win, and make 200 mil. You think he's ever going to go broke? No.
Yeah, he's working on right now.
He has to make that
fight in Dubai. He's about to set that up. I don't know if it happened already. I feel like it was supposed to be a week ago.
He's a guaranteed money. You think he's losing to these dudes?
My thing is he has no choice but to do that. Do you understand?
Has a choice.
When your overhead is as high as his, you have to do that. You have to keep up that pony show.
Okay, and do you think that maybe spending money can lead to more money later on? So he spends all his money now, so then when he's 60, he don't got to spend as much money.
What your ROI is. It depends on what your ROI is. What Jay is trying to tell you, and your overhead. You can have, man. I see this issue. So
I get how money works.
Full disclosure. What I do 9 to 5 is deal with real estate or whatever, right? Do you know how many doctors have to sell houses and have to sell stuff all the time because they spend, these guys make $200,000-$300,000 a year and are being debt because they've created a lifestyle that even at $300K a year that they cannot maintain, man. I think that's our concern with Floyd. Like, yes, he can go get a $300 million bag in China, but if you got to give 150 back in taxes and then, you know, fund whatever BS you
private jet maintenance.
Yeah, bro.
You telling me he can't sell his company? Like, y'all really think he is going to go broke? He can sell all his chains, his house, his company,
Yes,
and never work and move like a
move.
And listen, he can move like a billionaire. Never work a day in his life, and you don't have to pay any more taxes. You have a company, and listen, he has a company now. I'm sure y'all all know how taxes work. If you have enough employees, I think it's about 500. You don't have to pay. You basically pay zero taxes, and you don't work. Come on now. Are y'all really saying that
it depends
he's
on
gonna go
what
broke?
the balance sheet says, man.
I understand that,
but there's more going out than coming in.
But if you get to a certain point in your life where you don't have to even pay taxes anymore,
if you make $500,000,
yes,
and you spend $515, you are in the red, bro.
I get that, but
okay,
we're not talking about these low amount of money. He's investing money that he can easily earn back. That's what I'm telling you. And so in the long run, if he do end up getting a corporation or a business that has so many employees, he don't have to pay taxes anymore. He could just live off the money he got for the rest of his life, his millions, and keep investing in charity and do like for his corporation. And then his corporate, like, bro, I know y'all know how taxes work. And know how money works.
Look, I hear you. It's
Bill
just,
Gates, you think he's still paying money?
But I don't think Bill Gates buys, you know, $2-3 million worth of jewelry every year, bro.
No. Real quick, when you said, hold on, sway, and don't get it twisted. Like you talking about, you think Bill Gates does this? Bill Gates is not even receiving a salary for his company. You understand that?
He's done.
His receptionist pays more in taxes than he does.
Yes.
His salary is $1.
Yes.
That's how they avoid taxes.
I know how taxes work. I agree. Yes.
But what I'm saying is that has nothing to do with Floyd's expenditures. That has nothing to do with him having to maintain a certain lifestyle or having to sell off because he's realizing that there's more going out than coming in. That's my point.
So I feel like this is a good segue. So Floyd also spoke about becoming more than an athlete and becoming a businessman, and how a lot of his connections, a lot of his business partners over the years have given him great advice, have kind of steered him in a certain kind of direction. So, you know, when you guys are talking about, you know, his overhead or just, you know, we're all just kind of speculating. I don't think any of us are, you know, professionals in the financial space like that. But I think it's important in terms of a message that he was trying to send was, you know, it's important that when you're an athlete, it's also, you know, incumbent on you to get your financials right, become the expert. And if you're not, make sure that you get a great team around you. You know, we're obviously not saying that Floyd is a genius, right? I mean, there's horrible ways to mock Floyd about not being able to read.
So he can barely read.
Right. And so, but he has a jet on speed dial. You know what I'm saying? So I think that what he was trying to say is, and what we're trying to allude to is, he's gained the knowledge to know how to keep his money up, how to make those good investments, how to recognize a good investment when he sees one. So do you think that he's trying to set a trend for other athletes? You know, is it unique because he has guys like Al Heyman in his corner where he can introduce Floyd to all these power brokers? Or, you know, what's kind of the future there? Can LeBron pull this off too? Can KD pull this kind of stuff off too, where they have a powerful network of financial advisors?
Well, one of the things
KD's already doing it. Sorry, go ahead. You have a talk.
One of the things he kept talking about was relationships, you know, and how important they was, to the point where he was talking about how it's more important than the money was the relationships that he had and he's developed. So I know Sway you was talking about he can go over and fight, but eventually man ain't gonna want to keep on putting them gloves on and strapping it up, getting back in that ring. You know, you get to a certain age, You don't want to keep taking them hits, physical hits or financial hits. I just think, with him, he's making a lot of good investments. I know he spends a lot of money, but he invests a lot of money. His money's making money. So that's the thing about him going broke. I can't see it. I mean, I can't see it as long as he keeps continue to make good investments and maintain the relationships he needs to. He's going to forever make money. Now, I think, like he's talking about, he's trying to get his kids to build on to that legacy that he's already established, and have them continue to make money and have his money be there, so his grandchild or his grandson he has now that he can continue to make money off of it. So he's trying to get them to invest and to build on to his legacy.
Yeah, and a lot of his diamonds and necklaces and all these major expenditures he's been, it's not like this that he got that this year. They've been having this stuff like the past 20 years. Like, you look at the interview, his wife had stuff from like 16 years ago. Like, it's not like he's just out here buying. I mean, you're talking about him spending. He was at the top of the world in the 2000s. That guy can spend as much money as he wants. He was younger. He knew he was going to keep fighting. Like, he's getting to the age where he's like, you're right. I'm probably not going to keep fighting more. So I need to stop buying all this useless shit. I can't keep spending the much money I was, because I'm not going to keep fighting. And so he's making investments now, and he's spending the money he needs now, so he doesn't have to spend it later. And he's just going to be chilling. Like, I don't really care how much money he's spending now, because I know he's smart enough to put it in the right places. Yeah, private jet, you might not need that, but it helps if you got it. You know what I mean? You can get to where you need to go, And I guess I don't ever think he's going to be broke. I don't.
I just think, I hope, because I don't know. I don't like speaking on nobody's financial situation when I don't know what your balance sheet looks like. I don't know. But my fear is that, here's a perfect example of this, right? Antoine Walker made 9 figures in his NBA career. Antoine, I probably right now have a higher net worth than Antoine Walker. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, what happens is when you have guys, being a first generation millionaire is a very dangerous place to be, right? If you don't come from a background where people have taught you how to manage money, how to grow money, your perceptions of money, like, there's therapy for this, man. I know people who are in therapy for what they call financial trauma. If you grew up in
You're breaking up a little bit, Hank. Breaking up a little bit, Avon.
Yeah.
extremely poor.
Hey, Avon, you breaking up.
Avon, you laggy, bro. But this guy, I know you guys like to compare him to other athletes and other, stars or whatever, but like, come on, how many can we really compare to this guy? How many athletes have made over $1 billion?
Right.
How many of them have made over $1 billion in their career? $1 billion. Come on, man. That's like less than 1% of athletes have made over $1 billion in their career from that sport.
And that's with not a lot of sponsors. I can't think of one sponsorship that Floyd Mayweather has ever had. A lot of his stuff is just purses, almost entirely purses. You know what I mean? He takes his fight. That's why he does the exhibition fights, because he can get 200 million in one night. You know what I mean? You do that enough times, make the right investments. And yeah, I don't see, him being broke isn't even necessarily the question. I just think that he does have a lot of expenses. I'm not exactly sure what Mayweather Promotions is going through. I feel like they do have a couple good fighters in there, but none of them are really moving the needle in the fight game like that. You don't see any of them doing any of their own promotions. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather has a checker pass, but the rest of these guys don't. And I don't see any of them, really doing anything other than trying to negotiate fights. So I think that Mayweather Promotions is in a tough spot. So I guess we'll see how that goes. But we were talking, Hank mentioned it earlier about he is trying to get his children to jump into one of his many businesses, because even though he does get that, nearly 100 million, 400 or 500 million, whatever he's making a year, he really isn't trying to give those kind of handouts to his children and subsequently his grandchildren. He's going to want them, his oldest son, oldest daughter, to really start to take over. And from his tone, it doesn't really sound like they're ready to do that yet. So I don't necessarily know how that's going to position him. You know, I don't think that he's really put his kids in a position to be ready. I don't know if that's a Floyd thing or if that's a lot of rich people who they've lived such a lifestyle that their children are now unprepared to take on the world or take over the business and all these
Child,
things.
bro. I'll bet you
Yeah.
$50 in the next 10 years he has a charity, right? And one of his kids is running it. So he
Hold
gets a
on, I
tax
want to
write-off and to pay his kids. That's how they
hold on.
do it, bro.
Yeah. I want to say this real quick before we transition to that, because we was talking about how Floyd, when he came in, he probably wasn't the businessman that he was, and he got more savvy, and he wanted to be more than just an athlete. He wanted to be a businessman. Um, that's how he phrased it. And if we want to relate that to how we are, right? When we work in these 9 to 5, we're basically just athletes. We're numbers. We're just people that are irreplaceable. So I want us to understand that we too can be businessmen and women out here as well. We need to get on our purpose and understand our value. Don't just settle with just being an athlete. Don't just settle with just being a number. Just being there. We gotta think. We gotta think that we want more out of life. Because you're not gonna get rich on that 9 to 5. You're gonna have to branch out. You're gonna have to gain some knowledge. You're gonna have to have some uncomfortable times and moments in order to be able to grow. Like a lot of people just like to be comfortable, just getting by with the bare minimum. When you riding around and seeing these big ass houses and stuff like that, we can have it. It's not everything, but I'm gonna be honest. There are a lot of things in life that are made that are materialistic that I want a part of. And I don't see anything wrong with, wanting to be able to experience some of these things. Like a lot of people save, but are you structuring it where you can still save and play? Because I think that's what a lot of what Floyd is actually doing. He's investing, he's doing a lot of things that I don't believe that we see. And I'm not pocket watching, we can only speculate, right? But if we really look to see what's going on, I haven't heard too much of anything about him, filing bankruptcy or him having some financial struggles. We could speculate he may be going that way, but he's been what, how many years in the game?
What, 20? 20 years
Yeah.
for real, right?
Yeah. And I'm still seeing things being bought. I'm still seeing things happening. Again, I don't know what he's doing, but it's a lot of things that we could take away. It's a lot of stuff that we could take away from this in our own lives, man. I'm trying to continue to level up. I don't want to be just a number. I want to look at life and understand what's out there so I could be a part of it, so I can start getting to the bag too.
Yeah, we should definitely respect Floyd Mayweather's level up. I mean, there's plenty of boxers. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya, I don't know what his situation looking like over there with Golden Boy or how he's doing with Canelo Alvarez and how that network's rolling. But, I mean, I feel like that's his nearest comparison in terms of a generational boxer that was there when he was there. And I would imagine that Floyd's doing better than Oscar. So, I feel like we should definitely respect his level up too. He can grow and make some good decisions. I don't imagine he definitely had a pretty checkered past in terms of the people he was dealing with. And it was kind of on TV because he would do the all access on Showtime. So sometimes we got to see, some intimate moments that maybe we wouldn't have seen from previous boxers in a generation or some of his opponents like that. So, I think that Floyd maybe doesn't get the kind of credit that he deserves.
Look, when I was going to make this point when I got cut off or whatever, but I think this is what I was trying to get with. I wasn't going to say that Floyd has bad spending habits. I'm talking about the individual's relationship with money, period. If you have an unhealthy relationship with money, I don't care if you make $10 an hour or you have $10 million in the bank, you're going to go broke eventually. And I think that's the most important thing we can take from this conversation is have a healthy relationship with money. And but what I mean by that is, and what I see what happens with a lot of athletes is that there's this what I was talking about, this financial trauma. If you grow up extremely poor and now you're able to buy anything you've ever wanted, it manifests itself in two different ways. You become extremely miserly or you become extremely thriftful sometimes. And I just hope from Floyd's case that he's had these conversations with somebody and said, his relationship is healthy with money. Because if it's not, he's going to wind up hurting himself in the long run. That's all I'm saying.
Well, do you think you can raise children to have a healthy relationship with money when you're flying back and forth in private jets? Hey, you go around the corner to you is, what I'm saying, the
Well,
king.
okay, here's an example of this, right? If you have a healthy relationship with money, you understand when certain expenditures are not healthy to your long-term interests, right? So say Floyd's company has a bad year, will he be willing to have the financial discipline and awareness to say, we're not going to fly the private jet every week this year. We're going to limit it to 3 or 4 times a year to cut back. If you have an unhealthy relationship with money, your brain says, man, F that, man. I'm rich. I'm going to ball out, do what I want. And I just hope if he's ever been in that mindset, because like I said, I don't know him personally. He might be the most ignorant MFer in the world interacting with him, but he might know how to count. And that might work for his, and that works. There's a lot of people out here. We got a guy in Chicago, man, that ran for mayor. Hey, JR, you know Willie Wilson, man? You remember
Heard
Willie
that name.
Wilson?
Yeah, I heard
The
that
guy
name.
that
Yeah.
he was a doc, man. They rolled this dude so bad in Chicago because this dude was a multimillionaire doctor, but he can't talk. And let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? Where we say, well, because that man can't talk or he can't communicate, that he can't count. There's two different skill sets there. But if it takes to be able to have that financial discipline to say, I'm going to live more frugally, or I'm going to take my expenses down, or will your brain, just say, no, man, I ain't never going back to you limiting myself. I'm going to spend what I got. Well, I just hope he's not in that mindset. And if he has been in that mindset, he's escaped from it. That's the most important thing.
Does that take wisdom to get to, or is that experience? You know what I'm saying? Or can you learn that early on? Let's say you're an early bloomer. Let's remove it from athletes, and let's just say you're a high earning, data analyst or whatever it could be. If you don't have any debt and you're making however much you're making, you know what I mean? That could just be handled with his money for you. So how do you maintain a healthy relationship when it's plentiful? And then how do you pass those messages on? There's plenty of people who still want a Benz, and then they want a second and third Benz too. So how can you, balance that with trying to develop yourself in terms of being responsible, passing responsible practices on to your children? Because again, there's plenty of us, I have parents who, own their own company, and I'm not necessarily poised to take that over. I have plenty of friends who kind of went their own way. So their parents' companies are just going to kind of retire when they retire. So, and looks like Floyd is kind of going through that same thing. So even though you have a lot of resources, how does that translate to when you're trying to put other people in position to take over? If it does at all.
I mean, you just got to set them up to run your company. I mean, I know a lot of parents try to incorporate their kids in a business early on by either helping out, work in the shop, clean, get behind the register, and they'll do that for years. And a lot of times that probably, if they feel stress under it or they just don't like it, that'll lead them to not want to do it because they've experienced it. It's like, I know what my parents do every day. I know how they handle the money. I know what it takes to run this business. And honestly, I would rather not do that. So a lot of times these parents, even if they want their kids to set them up, like to take over the business, they'll train them all their lives and they still don't want to do it. And so it is, up to the children if they even want to invest their life into something, into that business that their parents built. But when we're talking about certain businesses, man, it's hard to pass up $1 million business. If we're talking about average mom and pop shops where you just making a couple 100,000 or a couple, whatever, you're not really getting a super big profit from it. You're like, I would rather not do this. It's tedious. We're not it's not super life changing. It's cool and all, but if you if you're gonna run a business that's life changing for generations like Floyd's, I mean, it's kind of hard to pass that up on, but then it's also on Floyd to train your kids to take it over. If you're not training your kids to take over your business and get more business savvy than you was for the past 10, 15 years, don't expect your kids not to, take that business into the gutter. You know what I mean? So I think as the years goes by, I think Floyd probably in the next 10 years is trying to find a trustworthy person that he can, have someone take over business when he's gone. I don't know if it's going to be someone outside of his kids or what? But I'm sure he wants someone that he can trust to run his business correctly and not take it in a hole, not fuck him over. Like basically someone he can trust. And usually parents trust their kids the most. So that's why it's a direct lineage of it. So, but if the kids don't want it, I'm sure he'll find someone close to him that will be willing to take it over or buy it for a whole lot. You know, a couple $1 billion, he might just sell his business a couple years and just live on an island somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, listen to that video, that video, and listen to him kind of describe. It sounds like his kids are not going to be into taking over his business. I don't see it. I mean,
Yeah.
just watching that video, I'm getting the feel that more than likely he's probably going to have to sell it, like you said, because he's giving his kids so much up to a certain point. Now he's just now trying to cut them off. Man, you probably should have did that a long time ago. You probably should have did it.
He was trying to give everybody a warning. I remember they were doing the All Access when he was fighting Conor McGregor, and he was trying to bring everybody together. And he was like, "Guys, this is going to be the last fight that I'm handing out checks like this. After this, everybody's got to start to develop a skill. Everybody's got to develop a responsibility." And I'm sure he told that to the staff. But as a parent, you kind of want your kids to feel that message too. And I get this. I got the same inclination that you did, Hank, that it doesn't really seem like his daughter is ready to, his daughter sat ringside for almost every one of his fights for her whole life, but she's not ready to participate in the promotions of boxing. It's just kind of weird. Like his son isn't ready to participate in that. So, I definitely got the same inclination that he's worried that, he's giving his kids so much that they're really unprepared to deal with the world because they've had his money and resources and lifestyle to really fall back on. Even NBA Youngboy, he's trying to encourage him. He's got a lot in his own right, but I feel like to Floyd, that may be another person that's, 1 or 2 degrees away from looking for something from me. And I feel like that worries him. And it seems like something that's going through, all of the high earners and public figures, that all of their children didn't go in their same footsteps. And so it's kind of a weird transition that they're all going through.
Some I want to say is that and I agree with you guys are saying. I think it's true because me personally, like I do see that with my kids. If you want them to learn how to be responsible and not feel entitled, right? Because there's no doubt in my mind that my son has more than what I had. He doesn't even understand how it feels to struggle. And when I listen, I talk to him, I say, dude, you just lost. Like you have no clue as what it is going to feel like on the other side when you out there in the real world. And when I look back, it's like, damn, wish I would have did a better job of having him work earlier. That's something you got to start when you're early.
Let me jump in.
Much earlier. I'm talking about at the age of like 2. I like understanding how to do responsibilities. I don't care if it's like, look, when you wake up in the morning, turn off these lights. Make sure all these lights are turned off. The outside lights that you leave on. Make sure these turned off. Because that's something that I do. So you got to start giving them a little bit of responsibility on the front end early, cleaning the rooms, dishes, whatever needs to be done. You have to start giving them responsibility. Now, I am understanding later about how to reward children. Like, do you pay them at an early age? These are things that I'm trying to understand, but these are conversations that need to be had because we all parents, and then we even have children that's come right behind us having kids probably now, not me yet, and hopefully I don't have to deal with it no time soon, but it is happening. So these conversations are very important because I'm pretty sure that most people are better than their parents, and which means that their children is going to have a better life than what they have. And so as we continue to bless our kids, we got to make sure that we are still teaching them the correct way, because it's so easy to get lost. You just give, or they just naturally just have it because you want them to have it. But we got to scale back sometimes. Like these kids feel entitled, and it's just crazy. They feel entitled. I got to have my phone. Like, what am I supposed to do? What do you mean what you're supposed to do? But we got to look back. This is the bed that we put the electronics in their hand. When we didn't want to be bothered, we had no problem with them playing them electronics, just sitting up on it because they're not in our hairs. So that's what I kind of took from it, man. We got to start early.
JR,
I think we also. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sway. Go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in, I feel like we're putting a lot of pressure on these kids because I'm young myself, and when we're talking about, them developing a lot, especially the men, they not really serious about shit until they late 20s. So you might see a flip, you know what I mean? Floyd is not going anywhere for like another 15 years. You know what I mean? When their kids is 30, 32, 35, 36, 40, they might just be ready. We talking about kids who in the TikTok and the Instagram, and they're not really in reality yet. They about to get humble real soon when they get put on their ass and they got to take care of themselves, and their daddy's not giving them a check. A lot of that can humble a kid. It humbled me living on my own. You know what I mean? So when we're talking about these children, I think his oldest is only 21. They're not even,
No,
How
he
how
got
old
one
are
that's
you, Sway?
26.
Oh, his
How
oldest
old are you?
26. I'm
Yeah, he got
23.
oldest. His son is the oldest, and he's
Okay,
20. I
so
think he
he's
says
26.
26.
I mean, like I said, the men, they don't really, their brain, especially if you live in this lifestyle where you don't really have to take things seriously, your brain is not even, like you said, the responsibility, you haven't kicked in that brain that I need to take life seriously yet. And when you haven't got a reason to, it's going to even delay further into like maybe your 30s. Like a lot of younger guys might have that self, reflection early because they have to. These kids don't have to. So
Sway,
I'm
let me
just saying.
jump on that right
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah. I was
Hey,
about to. You
yeah,
got it.
go. So a big debate I've had with my peers who run businesses is how do you incorporate your children into your business? I went back and forth with a guy because he got upset with me. He said the whole point of you making money is to make sure your kids, he was like, you want your kid to work a crappy job because you worked a crappy job. You done made this money. Now don't force your kid to work a crappy job. That was the whole point of getting rich, so your kids didn't have to struggle. And what I tried to tell the guy is that I feel like every human being should know what it feels like to work a bullshit job, to give you perspective, Because I was thinking about that with my son. I was like, how do I incorporate him into my real estate business and have him do my data or whatever, anything like that, because he's good with computers. But I thought about it. Is he gonna treat this job like I treated my first job? Stealing boxes out the back, still in time. You know what I'm saying? Hey, clock in for me real quick. I'm gonna be an hour late. You know what I'm saying? Like, how's he gonna handle, if he gonna, he's gonna be 15, 16 years, and I'm gonna entrust a 15, 16-year-old kid to run part of a business that helps me eat. I don't know. We went back and forth with it, but this goes back to financial trauma. When you get a lot of money, sometimes you either you want to make your kids march through the mud just like you did because you feel like they need to know what it feels like, or there are some people that are like, well, man, I know what it feels like to eat syrup sandwiches, so my son gonna eat lobster every day to the day he died. And there's got to be some type of middle ground, some type of that we can
Resistance.
find.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think you're right, Sway, in the regards of men not figuring it out till later. But I mean, I think all of us are around the same age, with the exception of you, and we mostly reflect on how much time we went, not really knowing what our purpose was, or not being focused, or not investing, just having a lot of money slip through our fingers and a lot of opportunities slip through our fingers that we didn't capitalize on. So if I
Yeah,
could have had the clarity that I had, if I could have had the clarity I have now at those younger ages, you know,
I
sky's the
would
limit.
I would trade every dollar in my bank account to be Sway's age right now, bro. Every dollar, every cent, every one of it, bro. It is that whole, you don't know what you don't know until you know it, bro. Like, man, there are millionaires out here, 50 years old, will give Sway every dime they have to be 26 again, man.
And like I just looked it up. I don't think he's 26. I think he was born. His oldest son was born in 2000, so he's younger than me. He's 22. Um, I'm 23. I was born in 99. So, but you don't get this clarity until you have to struggle and you get around men who know the struggle and know, and they tell you, like, I wouldn't think about this shit if I didn't like say this platform. Y'all are telling me this, and this helps me realize what I got to do while I'm young instead of wasting my time. I know I just broke up for a little bit, but I'm just saying it's really hard, especially when you get wrapped into social media. You really don't have to worry about what food comes from. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not as a struggle as it was even 20 years ago when we were having this whole crack epidemic, or you live in the hood. Like, it's a lot more struggles back in the day than we are going through now. And these kids aren't going to be as fast developed as you would think, especially if you live in this lifestyle. So I'm not going to necessarily put so much pressure on the kids when he's oldest is only 22. I knew how I was a year ago. So let's talk about this in 10 years and see if their kids are fuck ups then, not now.
Well, I mean, and that kind of brings us to kind of our topic of the day. Where does their moms fit into all of this? I think in regards to Floyd, the way Floyd said it, I think he was more talking about, the mother of his children can't be out here looking kind of dusty. So that's why he said, hey, come over here and show them all your diamonds and your rocks and your Birkin bags and stuff like that. But, to a larger point, I think that these women being in Floyd's life and in various levels has impacted the children in a lot of ways. It's impacted his relationship with his oldest son, his relationship with his mother. And so, when he says, the women in your life are a direct reflection of you, what do you guys think that means? Do you think that he's saying just in terms of their public image and them riding around in Bentleys and them having really nice houses to live in? Or is it also how you're, raising those children? You know what I mean? Where is it incumbent on mom to make sure that the kids are ready to take over dad's business? Or, is that really just on Floyd to put the kids in a certain position? Because in my opinion, the women had just as many resources as Floyd did. And I imagine that they may not necessarily be working 9-to-5s themselves. If they got millions and millions of dollars worth of product to their name, then you would imagine that maybe they're all trying to get in on the business that Floyd has. And it doesn't really seem like that was going on. So, what do you guys think in that regard?
When he first said that, I knew he was talking about his child's mother, and I'm pretty sure may she rest in peace, but the other one too, she was probably well taken care of. And then I thought about Country Wayne. How is it, Country Wade or Country Wayne?
Country Wayne.
Yeah, how he takes care of all his kids' mother. And when we was talking about kids learning the business, I was having a discussion with one of my guys, and he was just putting me on game of like how Country Wayne is actually introducing his kids into doing the same thing. So how to make money by doing these videos and these little skits and stuff like that. Like he has all of them doing it. So I mean, that's the way to do it. Like kids doing it for free, but there's a way that you can generate some money from it too. So I think that's how he was able to kind of tap in with them. But back to the topic at hand right here, like a woman is a reflection of the man she deals with. Even though he takes care of them, I do think that whether you married, well, it should be when you marry, right? Like that woman is a direct reflection of like who you are. So depending on what she's doing out there in the streets, how she's conducting herself, how she chooses to dress, where her name is coming up in if you are a celebrity, that's a direct reflection of you, of your leadership, of how you are the head of that household. So if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you are looked at as being that the leader, and when I say leader, it's not meaning that she's under your direct control, right? But she just respects your authority because of who you are. She respects how you move. Like she understands like what you expect out here. And if you just out here like loose like that, you just reckless, that is a direct reflection of you. So I think that when it comes to his children's uh, mothers, that he just want them to be able to enjoy it too. And like I commend him for that because I mean, if he wouldn't do it, I'm pretty sure she's gonna be hitting the pockets on the courts. So it's like he might as well go ahead and take care of them. But it just probably shows that he just have the utmost respect for them for being like the mother, and they just doing good co-parent. I haven't heard anything reckless about his baby mothers. Have you guys ever heard anything in the public about them?
Nah, it was
Only the
smart.
first one.
It was
Only
smart.
the first one.
I know his son said he was like I don't know the allegations, but his son was saying he was hitting her, so that kind of led them to fall off, and it is what it is. But I don't hear about any of the other ones, the newer ones, or the young kids.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
Well,
just hear about his
I think he
daughter
only
right
has
now.
one other one because I think his first two kids are about his first mother that
oh
was
yeah, he got
deceased.
one kid and then 3 kids by one, and then he adopted one. So
Yeah.
we got 4 biological and an
I didn't know
adopted
he
one.
adopted a kid.
Hmm.
That says a lot about his character. That's good. No, real talk. That's good, man. I think more black families that should
Sure. What?
adopt.
Adopt.
There's a lot of black youth in the system, man, that never get adopted because, well, they got the wrong complexion. You know what I'm saying?
And to reflect on the topic when he says a woman is a reflection of the man she deals with, I got with this girl, my girl now. She was working at Starbucks, and she's so comfortable there that she ended up calling like one of her coworkers a bitch. And I was like, baby, if you with me, you can't be calling people bitches and this and acting a fool. Like, nah, because that's a reflection of me. I was like, you got to cut that out now. I don't want you out in the public when I'm not around and you just acting a fool, and then they come back to me and say your girl's crazy or you lose it. I'm like, baby, that's not how my girl's moving. You cool, calm, and collective, and you calculate. You not out here just calling people bitches and getting mad at people and having a hissy fit. You know what I mean? Like, or you won't be with me. I told her that. I was like, straight up, I'm not dealing with a chick like that. So that's kind of how you can, I'm not saying control your woman, but give her standards that you're not going to necessarily deal with her attitude or the way she interacts in the world, how she feels. You know what I mean? Especially if it's reckless to your character and your perception. You know what I mean? I don't want to marry a chick that's going out here calling people bitches behind my back when I'm not around. That can't happen.
I imagine that a person like Floyd is also really picky with the kind of people that he's bringing around. So when it comes to his time and his resources in terms of these women being a reflection on him, do you think having too many women around him is a good or bad thing? Because if all these women are kind of a reflection of you, you know, what kind of lifestyle is that really? Is that the lifestyle of an athlete? Does that apply to everybody where you see Cam Newton with with a new woman every week, or you'll see Carmelo Anthony going through it with, now Lala's out here doing whatever. Are all these women having any kind of impact on the athletes' real lives? And then Floyd's got 8, 9 women around him. He may have a main and then 8 on the bench. You know what I mean? But is it really having an impact, or is it an unfair comparison between an athlete versus everyday people?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfair comparison. I mean, it exists, but there's two different levels, and I say that because you have people out here that are looking to deal with Lala or looking to deal with just so they can walk around and be like, yeah, I smashed his baby moms. It was all right. I see why he left it. You know what I mean? Just to almost have like a one up on you. That's how they look at it. It's stupid, but that's just how some dudes think. You know what I mean? In reality, you know, civilians, so to speak, it happens too. It happens where somebody know you was dealing with somebody, or that's his baby mom, and depending on what your statuses are in your subculture, and they'll do that as well just to have a one up on you. So I think it's different. It's just different levels.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Floyd's gonna do what he's gonna do, but I think she realized he's the money maker, the breadwinner. She's gonna hang around. I mean, there's no need for her to go anywhere. They have an understanding, and that's how it seemed like to me doing the interview. They have an understanding. She was there. She seemed like she's his co-manager or something. That seemed like the role she's playing. So she's on the payroll as well. So might as well be keep her close.
I mean, it's smart, man. Like anybody that's been to family court know if you can get on your program before the government get it on their program, it's gonna play out a lot differently, man. But I think that does reflect. Now, my girl needs to reflect me, but my child's mother, I don't know, man. That one, I don't think that one really really matters. It might reflect on my choices that I was making at the time, but like in real time, I don't, I don't think I'm responsible for how she carries herself. My wife, my girlfriend is one thing. My baby mama, I don't have control over her. You know what I mean? Like I'm not in a relationship with her, So I think if guys need to definitely think about that before they go in without protection. Like honestly, that is a question that every man should ask before he has sex every time. Would I be okay with this woman being my baby mom? If every man asked that question before they had sex with a woman, the world would be a lot better, a lot better off.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. Think
I
about
mean,
it.
that's
If you got a past that is in, let's throw it out there. If you got a past that's in the double figure range, we won't say how many figures, we'll say more than 10. And if you went there and said, okay, which one of them out of all the ones I was messing with, if I knocked them up, would I have been okay with a baby mama? You not comfortable? You might want to think about how you evaluate women. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty. This isn't a judgment. Because if I had to do that with my body count, I'd be in a bad place, dog. Like I'm just being real with y'all. You know what I mean?
Let me
I hope
ask.
this is knowledge that my son takes and makes better decisions than I did.
So if the mother of your child was out in the street wilding, you don't think that when people see you, they're gonna be like, "Hey, Avon, your baby mama was, X, Y, and Z." I know they may not necessarily
Hey, bro,
shine that on your parenting.
she got a husband at this point. It ain't none of my business.
Okay. I mean, but let's say she did. Let's say she was just single and y'all were on like not terrible terms. You know what I mean? Like y'all not together. You may not be smashing, but if she's out here acting a certain way and you have a brand, is that not gonna reflect?
It depends on how it affects my child because that's my priority.
I think it's if it's your main girl still or your wife. Like you look at Patrick Mahomes. If he dropped that chick, you probably wasn't necessarily compare his character to hers. You would just be looking at her as like a crazy woman. But the fact that he's still dating and trying to marry this chick, you're like, Pat, what the hell?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's tough. I feel like it's good because it makes it to where people are always going to attach that person to you. Because I'm not saying that it shouldn't or that it should reflect on you. I'm not saying that, but I just think that it will. I think that you'll always be X's baby mama. You know what I mean? You'll always be Avon's baby mama was arrested today. You know what I mean? JR's baby mama was
Don't
arrested.
put that in the air, dog.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's never usually, especially in a person like Floyd Mayweather's position, it's never that person's name. It's always, mother of Floyd Mayweather's child did X, Y, and Z. So I think that maybe that's what he's referring to in terms of no matter who you bring around, it's always gonna come back to you. The headline, is always going to be your name and not that person's name. So, I think it makes it tough to kind of trust people, So, Abe, you were talking about millionaires would rather trade places with Sway because of his age. But, those millionaires, they got a lot of experience. They got a lot of knowledge. They got a lot of,
That was under the assumption that they get to know what they still know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely don't want to be 19-year-old me again. He was dumb as hell, bro.
Right. And you were maybe a lot more trusting back then versus you as more seasoned person with a lot more money and stuff like that. So, when it comes to Floyd, he might be entertaining people around, but do y'all think that he could really trust anybody? How can you trust your current woman, your baby mama, and then like 6 other women? You got your kids over here, they really not doing right. You got your business partner, he's doing well internationally, but your boxing maybe not where it needs to be. I feel like really in his position, he's kind of a man on an island by himself.
I think we probably need to address this super chat. Appreciate you, Miss Michelle, for the 499 super chat. She said, "Would you, as a man, marry the woman you have a child with?" Should be the question.
That's a good one.
Well, a lot of times it's not even our choice if we want to have the child. The choice is to have sex, but after she's pregnant, it's not up to us. But
yeah, I was gonna and when I heard Avon said that, that's an assessment at some point in our time. It's a real assessment that we make as men, even though we should be focused on like if she's like waifu. like if she's able to be wifed up, like will we marry her and then we'll have children, right? But the reality of the situation, there are so many people that's not thinking about that. I do think we need to focus more on spreading our seeds just because. And for an example, I give you, we have men that are in their upper 30s and their 40s that know that they are in no way, shape, or form able to provide for another child, to even be active, to be there. And they still out here like raw dogging, getting women pregnant, and then they having kids. So I think we need to just, as we stated before, practice dig discipline. Making sure that if we know we out here reckless, at least go in and get that procedure done, because you out here bringing kids in here, and we just like continue that like trauma cycle. We bring in kids, they growing up in these single parent households. So we got to just be like responsible, because let's be real, and it happens on both sides. The woman not telling you to put a rub on, and the man ain't putting a rub on. So it's just a lot of raw dogging that's just going on from both sides. And so um, at least be responsible when it comes to like spreading that seed. Then whatever you guys got to deal with, it's not involving the child.
Factual. I literally had a girl try to get me to take the condom off. I was like, "Are you on birth control?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Bitch, I'm not taking this shit off then. What are you talking about?" I was like, "This is not even a question.
It happens
Like, you're
way
not even on the
more.
pill,
Yes,
the
way.
implant, nothing.
Yes, way.
You're bugging."
It happens
Yeah.
way more than women will ever admit to.
No.
Women hate condom sex more than dudes do, and they will never admit to that though.
Yeah.
Sway talking the truth right now, fam.
Yeah,
I've
and
had
that
that
heat,
happen several times.
and that heat of passion, with that crazy terminology. It's like, yeah, take that off. I want to feel the real you. Like,
I mean, but let's be honest, like that's a turnover. That's a turn on for most people, right?
I'm not acting like I didn't want to take it off, but I had it in
Yeah.
my brain. I'm like, I'm not trying to have a kid by this woman. She trying to set me up. I feel like just the fact that she ain't on birth control and then told me, nah, you trying to set a nigga up. I said, I'm not taking it off. Or if she was like, well, I want you to take it off, I'm not having sex. I was like, get the fuck out. Like, that's kind of how it would have went. But fortunately enough, she just like, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. I didn't get her pregnant. It was a one-time thing. After she said that, I was not texting her back, but I was not hitting her up. I was like, you irresponsible as hell. I got you here now, so I might as well make it useful, but it ain't no next time.
You dudes go ahead naked head, huh? I know that's right. Hey, man, look. As far as the question, what was the question again? I don't even remember the question now.
A woman is a reflection of the man she deals with.
And a woman
Yeah,
is a lot of impact on the children around you too. When you are out making your money, she's the one supposed to be at the house making sure you're doing your homework, kids doing the homework and whatnot. So, outside of the reflection of you, they also have a big impact on the kids too.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it depends on the relationship. As far as if it's just like you said, your baby's mama, then it's really nothing you can do. That's really out of your control. You understand what I'm saying? But if it's your wife or your woman that you're dealing with, yeah, everything she's going to do is going to reflect on you as a person, especially if you're a brand. Just because of your name alone is going to be involved in every conversation. That if something goes wrong or something goes awry, goes left, your name's going to be brought up first before her name even brought. Matter of fact, her name might not even be said. Depending on the situation, because it's all about the person who she's dealing with. So yeah, they women can be a big reflection on you as a person.
I'm gonna say something that made me think about this on the flip side, right? Because as men, we are a reflection on, like, we're a reflection on our whole entire family, right? So, like, usually, like, one of the things that you hear when if you get caught cheating, right? If you get caught cheating, um, they say that, like, you embarrass me. So if you really like think about it, there are some women that do understand your status, who you are, or how men make mistakes. I'm not saying that it's acceptable, right? But the fact that you embarrass like the family, like you are a reflection of your entire family. So like what you do, how you move out here, And that's one of the things that we have to learn and understand. You know, we all not perfect, right? We all make mistakes, but understand the consequences that come behind your decisions. It may not necessarily affect the entire world, but when it comes to your family, when it comes to like the trust and um, the energy in the household, I mean, like women typically can like forgive you, you know, if it's on a small case thing. But imagine like her friends and stuff finding out and like the mother and all that stuff like that. Like that takes a direct hit on them. And so now it's affecting the household, it's affecting the kids, and you guys are going back and forth. So just understand that as men, we are a reflection of our entire family, our name, our business. So as we continue to grow, and again, we all make mistakes. Let's just make sure we keep on the forefront that we need to represent everything. We the head, we up here. Everything starts with us.
Well, Floyd also spoke a little bit about some of his business partners or people he gets advice from, rooting for him to win and rooting for him to, do well. And, his willingness to not necessarily be the most powerful or most knowledgeable person in the room. So when it comes to maybe the woman that we're bringing in our lives, do you think that they also need to have that same kind of attitude where they're only rooting for you? Or do there's so much made about getting an independent woman and maybe having a boss chick on your team. And a lot of times those kinds of women are kind of focused on their own businesses, their own priorities and ambitions. And it seems like Floyd, at least from what I know, I don't necessarily know if any of the women in his life, his intimate relationships, at least, if any of them are really business women, or if any of them, are out here really trying to move product, or if their main job is just to be great mothers. So I just wonder if when it comes to the women we bring, do we also need them to be, investors? And do we also need them to be people who are helping us move our business along the way maybe a business partner would, and giving us advice? Do you want your girl at home trying to research your business for you the way you may go to Warren Buffett and say, hey, what do you think I should do about this? Or are we just looking for just womanly support in terms of the partners we bring in?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, I know I would want that.
You would want
I would.
what, Hank?
I
Well,
mean,
I know.
we can barely name Floyd Mayweather's, all the children in his, all the women in his life, but some people want Beyonce. And so, do you want Beyonce who's working on her own album, or do you want the woman who's going to help you on your album? Theoretically speaking.
That's a you
Well,
know
I mean,
that-
if I got that at Floyd Mayweather money, and everybody who's around me knows I'm the bag, I'm the money maker, I'm the meal ticket, then everybody has to be on my program. That means everybody in that house that is up under me, that I'm taking care of, that I'm providing for, y'all all got to be on the same page. And so if that means y'all silent partners, whatever you want to call it, then that's what it is. So it means if my wife is gonna got to be on program, she's gonna be a part of the business. She's gonna have a hand in on the business. I don't care what part it's gonna be. She's gonna be part of it though. And if you got to invest in me, you have to, because if not for me, what we got here ain't gonna be here. So everybody's got to get on board.
But you don't have to be a boss babe or a boss chick to do that. You know what I mean? Like she just has to be cooperative and willing to listen and learn and not be stuck in her own selfish ego that she. You know what I mean? Like if she's willing, it's not hard to give directions. You know what I mean? And at some point, she's been with a chick for so long that you'll pick up on things and she'll just easily incorporate herself into your life. Like that's kind of what most men want. They want to be able to be at 100%, and then when they get a girl, they'll take them to 105% so they can win over the competition. You know what I mean? That extra
yes,
edge and her
yes.
incorporating, making your life a little bit easier, regardless of what it is, what depending on the man, can be a plus. But to say that we want her to have her own business, she got to be business savvy, we gonna take advice from her. It's like if a man already has that, he's already business savvy. He already knows what he got to do. He has advisors. I don't want to cuss, but why the hell would he want his with his woman to act like all these men that he got around? I would rather her, fit in somewhere else that I might need her. You know what I mean? And if that's staying at home taking care of the kids so I can make sure my kids are straight, then that's what it's going to be. And once the kids is out, if I got a job for her lined up in my corporation or my company or my business or whatever it is, I'll try to find her a role. You know what I mean? I think as a man, you definitely do have to help your wife navigate life when it comes to, certain things of her being on your program. If you want her on your program, then you got to set her up and put her in positions to survive and do things and live, like, especially outside the kids. I think that's probably the biggest aspect. Kids is like, oh, just take care of the kids. But what happens when the kids are gone? You just want her sitting around doing nothing. So you got to figure that out as a man.
Like, what role does a trophy wife have in this scenario?
A lot of them times they run their charities or they promote their businesses or you know what I mean? Like, they are doing something. They're not necessarily, they're going out talking to people, getting new investments, like whatever the case may be. They're not necessarily just sitting at home. They have some brains to themselves. Like, just because she looked good don't make her dumb. You know what I mean? And just because she went to college doesn't make her a boss babe. You can get a college chick that's educated, as bad as hell, and she could just be a housewife.
She will run your bank account into the ground, fam.
She might
will run it into the ground.
She might.
Yeah, I wanted to go back what JR was saying because it ties in about the dick discipline, man. That's a manhood landmarker. JR was talking about these dudes that are in their late 30s, upper 40s, and in some cases in their damn 50s out here still making babies. That's a manhood marker. When you can get to the point where you are making conscious decisions to bring women into your life because they add value. That's some teenager shit. And matter of fact, it ain't even teenager shit. I think most teenagers can differentiate, like, okay, I want to be around this chick because I'm sexually attracted to her, even though she brings me nothing of value. She doesn't bring anything of value into your life other than what she looked like and how she performs laying down. And you have men out here 30, 40, 50 years old, having 4 or 5 kids because they still have not reached that manhood mark of not allowing women to be around them or physically engaging with them because just how they make them feel sexually. That's an important manhood marker that a lot of us in the community still need to deal with.
But I think that's ultimately how you would want it set up. You would want your woman to be involved in some capacity, as far as building on, your legacy or your business. That would be the ideal situation, but with the women, you would have to identify what they're good at.
So the way it works with me and my girl, I'm a technophobe, man. Like, that's my Gen X ass. Didn't grow up with no cell phones, no computers or nothing. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? I struggle with the tech end. So, my girl helps me with that end in my business. She hated. I be leaning out the door like, hey, come here. This ain't working. But that right there is where she has to bring some type of value to you. You can lay up with beautiful chicks all damn day, but if they're not bringing value to your life, what's the point, bro? And you got too many people out here not only wifing up chicks or bring this is my girl or whatever, and still have these toxic relationships. Then you make babies with them. You know what I mean? It is so important to pick the right woman to help you along in that, man. That is paramount.
Yeah, like,
hey, you better.
Media.
You better, because you be mentally drained if you don't.
I think it's. Go ahead, King. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That was it.
I was just thinking about it. It's like, I feel like when it's a young man or a broke man, we put the responsibility on women for the children. But when it's a rich man, wise man, older man, we put the responsibility on him for having these kids, because it's like a self-reflection of each party's decision making. You're getting a younger guy or a broke guy or somebody who has no wisdom, life experience to be the father of your children so early on. And then you take the rich guy wisdom. It's like, you pick this chick to be your wife. You should have known better. So it's like, you got to understand when we're talking about, the dynamics of relationships. I think we should take it more seriously, especially in the time of our lives. These younger guys definitely need to learn from the older cats about how to pick a woman, how to view women, what should they reflect on so they don't go to the same mistakes as they did when they were younger, especially having a whole bunch of kids. And I think the women need to do that. They need to stop picking things off of their feelings and stop going off of attraction and stop going after these guys that don't have no character, wisdom, money, nothing that can actually support those kids and you. And that's just my opinion on certain
Sway,
things.
perfect, man, perfect, Sway. Think about this. I want y'all to think about this. I don't know if this has been other men of my age's experience, but I want y'all to think about something for a second. As a man dating in my 30s, I did date women with kids. And one of the craziest phenomenons I used to see and I've experienced is that the vast majority of men in my life, their baby mamas are either make as much money as them or less than them. The vast majority of women that I dated in my 30s, those women who had kids, all their baby daddies was broke. All their baby daddies didn't wear what, like the one of the chicks I was serious about from my 30s. She met her child's father in a restaurant. He was the damn waiter. She's $100,000 a year chick, and she got knocked up by the waiter. And I just, when we had this conversation, I'm like, people are just not making good decisions about who they bringing kids into the world with, man.
All right, I kind of want to switch it a little bit, y'all, to the next one. Make sure you guys get them likes button, man. I just caught wind. The likes are down. Take a moment to get the likes up. We definitely appreciate all the support. Inside of the interview as well, Floyd said, blessing people is not always about money. Put them in position because when you give and give, the one time you stop, you are the worst person in the world. And again, just listening to this, I'm speaking less about Floyd, but trying to tie this into everyday life for us, right? This is important because how many people around us as we grow up in success, they expect for us to give, 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 give. But putting people in position, such as our kids as well as our friends and family, that also gives them the opportunity, man. A lot of people just feel entitled to our money. They pocket watching. Even your own mother. I've been one of the people that experience it, where they're turning to you, and it feels good when people are able to turn to you, right? But on the flip side, I'm one of those people, just let me give when I want to give. Don't sit there and keep asking me or maybe suggestion or insinuating or throwing a sub or something like that. It doesn't it comes off as it just rubs me the wrong way. I have no problem giving. And even a lot of people would tell you, but when you constantly just banking that I got it, then it's a whole different story. I put the work in, I work hard, and I'm pretty sure other people that's in that same position, that's how they move too. We do not, and I can't speak for everybody. I'm guessing, I'm assuming that people may think the same way. Allow us to be able to do the opportunity. Some of us are selfish and just won't do it. Yeah, true enough. And they probably don't want to be bothered. But if you have to pick a side, just allow them to do it on their own. What are you guys' thoughts about it? About putting people in position? And as you guys elevate and level up in life, are you guys going to just be just giving, 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 or are you going to just focus more on putting people in position?
Equal
I
opportunity,
mean,
Okay.
not equal outcomes. They can get an opportunity, but don't mean they're gonna get the outcome that they want. I give you a shot, don't mean you're gonna stay on the team.
I've noticed. I don't know if y'all have experienced the same thing, but when you're trying to do anything, the people closest to you are the least supportive. Like in anything I've done, man. Like whether it was aspiring in music or even with this YouTube thing, I've noticed the people that are the most supportive, the people that give you the feedback or the constructive criticism, it's always been people that I've met on that journey, not people that were already with me. You know what I mean? And if it sucks, what I mean, it does suck, but you would hope that it would be the opposite way around because you would want to put people that you're close to in that circle and put them in positions. You know what I mean? I think that would be the ideal situation, especially because those people aren't gonna pull no punches. People that are gonna keep you grounded. They're gonna say what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. But it doesn't always work out like that. But I would love to put, the people that were day ones in position where each of us can build something. But and then one last thing, I've learned to surround myself with people that are gonna protect me. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes,
Not be
yes.
liabilities, not be. And when I say protect me, like for instance, I'm the type of person, I'll do anything for anybody. But if you're noticing that these people are coming to you with repeated issues, like I need this, I need that, I need that, I need that, you're not protecting me, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're a liability. You're going out there and getting into a bunch of issues that can be avoided and bringing it back to me. You know what I mean? If you bringing me a bunch of problems and no solutions, like you're not protecting me.
And I mean, I agree with you to an extent, Jay, where I guess outside influences are kind of, or people you don't know are more positive about your aspirations and the things that you want in life, and your family or the people close to you might be a little bit more, like not as promoting of it. But you gotta also understand, I try to tell my girl this, I was like, when you're getting this advice from outside people, they have no investment in you. They have nothing. They can tell you whatever they want and just go about their day. They have nothing. They don't live your life. They're not going to have kids with you. They're not going to do nothing. They have no investment in you. So when you getting this advice from people, take that into the consideration that they could just say whatever they want. They could care less if your business fail, or if it actually succeeds. They're just telling you what you want to hear. Yeah, go do what you want to do, bro. That sounds great. I hope you get it. You know what I mean? But they don't actually they're not investing no money, time, energy, nothing. I was gonna tell my girl, I was like, if you want to take advice from your single friends, go be single, because they ain't got no investment in you. I got investment in you. I'm doing shit for you. I'm taking care of you. I'm, putting my life on the line for you every day. So when you're taking advice from people, you got to also understand how much investment they have in you. Could they care less? Are they doing the research to understand if you start a business, what are the likelihoods that it even succeeds? Are they being realistic with you? You know what I mean? And we can take that as hate from our closest people, family members, that they're giving you reality checks about how life actually works, you know, or you could take it as, knowledgeable insight and try to reflect on it and move accordingly. I know there's some people who will just be trying to leech off of you or give you advice to benefit them. That happens. I agree. That happens, but by your closest family members. But when you're differentiating, they're using you for their own self gain to constructive criticism so you don't fail. That's where we gotta like get out our ego, where we gotta understand that they're just looking out for our best interests because they actually have investment in us, like our mom, our dads, our brothers, people who actually care about us for the long haul, who's not just there for the time. You know what I mean? They're there for life. So
Yeah.
Hey, hey
Go ahead. I'm
man,
sorry.
I'm sorry. You know, give a man a fish, he eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, you eat for a lifetime. It's just one of those things, man. That's why you always want to invest into you and yours. So my wife needs to be on my page. My family needs to be on my page. I want my inner circle. They gonna get the first shot at this. Now, if they turn their back on me, if they let me down, or they don't follow through what I ask, then I'm gonna have to evaluate. And we're gonna have to have that come to Jesus meeting. You have to come to the carpet. We're gonna have a conversation. Is this what you want to do? This is my plan. This is what I'm trying to do. And I need for you to invest all your energy and everything into what I'm doing. If you're not, please let me know. And I can move in a different direction. And that's family. Now, unfortunately, it'd be sad, like what Jay said, you have situations that your family be the first one to turn their back on you, let you down and not support you. And that's sad. That's not unfortunate. That is sad that happens. But it's what it is. So you try to have to adjust accordingly.
Look, man, I'm at the point in my life where the thing I lust for the most, and I don't know if lust is the good word because it's an unhealthy word, is information. It's gain. And everything that I've gotten in my life came off information. Every failure that I've had has come from a lack of information. And that will be the way that I help those along the way. I'm in a business where the formula or what I do is very easy to explain from step one to step five, the end. Execution is the hardest part. So I can tell somebody, look, I need you to go find a junky house, find a person who owned it, and then find a person who want to buy that house and tie them together and make your money in the middle. That's as simple as the way I could explain what I do. But if they can't execute it, that's on them, man. You know, I can't pay. Even if they wanted to pay me, they could pay me $100, and I mean, you wasting your money, bro, because I can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? How to execute. I can tell you how. I mean, I can tell you how to execute. I can't make you do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that will be the way that's the way I progress, and that's the way I would help others progress is by free game, man. Because when you start giving people money, they haven't earned anything, man. You start giving people resources that they haven't earned, they don't appreciate it, you know? They don't appreciate it at all, man.
Yeah. We'll switch it up again. Make sure you guys get them likes up. Get them likes up, man. I heard we getting them up, but they not up there. Let's see if we can get the likes, man. They should be at least at 250. Um, my green gang. Make sure we get the likes up, man. Make sure y'all spreading the word in the chat. This
Yo,
is
get them likes up before we turn the chat to just green, man. I know y'all like talking to the chat, but if y'all not getting them likes up, we not gonna allow y'all to speak on nothing. Get it up, man.
Hey, one of the things that was spoken about was Floyd was asked, do guys like Warren Buffett root for you not to fail, seeing how most black athletes don't come from the financial background? He also said, and I didn't want to type all this out, and Floyd responded by saying, I'm not big headed to the point I don't ask for help. When I get in front of my Jewish and white buddies, I don't mind being a student when I sit down. He said, I need to eat too. Understanding the moves they make, what to invest in, etc. I can tell you guys, I made 1.4 billion over here in America, he was saying, but have stashes I had elsewhere, and that's what Cal was speaking about. So understanding how to make power moves with building relationships. So Floyd kind of alluded to the point that we are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to like financial success. I guess it's safe to say that, right? Is that a true statement? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that in order to understand how to make money in this world, we have to understand financial literacy, right? We have to understand how money moves and works in this world. And so, even though we may not be fond of individuals because of their political beliefs, or we may say they're allegedly racist, or whatever the case may be, we know one thing, that they know how to make money, right? So sometimes you have to sit in those rooms and have those conversations with people you may not like. We do business with people every day, and we don't like them. We don't like our bosses. We don't like the people we work with, but we understand that we there for one common goal, and that's to get money and to make money.
I'm trying to build that house, man. I don't care about your political
Yeah,
beliefs.
yeah,
We
yeah,
all need to go ahead and build this house. Fuck that shit.
yeah. So I just want to kind of speak on the importance of understanding how to network. You ain't gotta like somebody in order to uh, gain knowledge from them. And it's understand their presence. I mean, even like some of the richest folks, there's levels, right? And we always talk about this. There's levels to everything in life. And just because you're a billionaire doesn't necessarily mean that you can't listen to another billionaire. And I'm nowhere near a billionaire, so I'm going to be looking wherever I can in order to gain knowledge. And you can gain knowledge. I'm one of those people that will listen to somebody that's less fortunate, somebody that doesn't have as much experience, because it might be one thing. I mean, just listen. You don't have to, you can just sit there and listen, not say nothing. But there might be one thing that they might say, and it could be that very one thing that you didn't know. I've been in situations where I didn't want to listen, and I'm glad I listened, because if I would have never came to this time and place, this event, I would have never knew something. And then I think about it like, man, I'm glad I went there. I'm glad I spoke to such and such, because I didn't even realize that I was going to learn something. Out of the 60-minute conversation, I learned something within 60 seconds, and it impacted my entire life. So let's just speak on it real quick.
Sure. That's why I love coming up on this panel, man. That's why I love, taking my shot to even come up here and have a conversation with y'all, because I'm a young cat. I've come to the realization early that I don't know it all. I ain't got all the answers. And I think as you get older, you got to keep that same humility, because like with my father, he's an artist and his wife is a writing major. And so I, like years ago, I mean, he had this thought, but I told him this past year, I said, bro, why don't y'all start trying to write kids books? You know what I mean? Like, illustrate something, do something like that, so then you can actually have money for the future that you don't always got to work. You know what I mean? And that can be some investment. You write one book a year, in 10 years you got 10 books out, and that's like that's consistent revenue when you 60. He was like, I thought about it, but I'm glad you actually confirmed my thoughts, because you can get wrapped up in your bubble with kids and your job or whatever, that you're not really understanding how outside life is actually moving, and the investments you can make. So like my dad, he listens to what I say because he knows I'm in these streets more than he is. He knows that I'm actually listening and have time to watch and gain more information, because he ain't got the time for that. So when I come back to him and we just be talking, he listens. You know what I mean? He listens to me because I have information that can set him up for the future that he didn't gain, especially with this age of information. You know what I mean? He's about 40, 43 right now. He grew up with the internet, but it's not like he's out here trying to gain new knowledge. The guy's he's experienced and wise. You know what I mean? So when I come to him with information that he probably never thought of, or with the newer generation, he self-reflects on that heavy, and that's just being humble. That you don't have all the answers. And I think a lot of us need to do that when we're growing as men and human beings.
Yeah, I think I look for just different perspectives. So it don't matter your age, how much you experience, just different perspective. You know what I mean? Because your perspective could be skewed or jaded, based on your experiences, where you're not looking at it with a clear head because of what's happened. So I think that's what I'm open to different perspectives, that I haven't looked at before. I definitely think that damn, I just lost my train of thought. But I mean, I definitely think that people I just totally lost my train of
It
thought.
happens,
Yeah,
bro.
it
You
happens,
good,
man.
Avon?
It's
Hey,
because
look,
you old,
man.
Jay. You old, baby. We all old up purpose that way.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
I look at it like this, man. We can learn something from anybody. Whether you the brokest person in the room to the wealthiest person in the room, to the guy you don't think has no sense about him, to the person who has the most sense. You can always learn something from somebody. And if you're not learning every day, you're not living. So yeah,
I,
I'm all for it.
I remember what I was gonna say, and I was saying with us, what I mean, like as a culture, like we need to stop being so competitive with each other. You know what I mean? We need to figure out a way to work together. Like JR was saying, in terms of you not necessarily liking somebody, but seeing something that's advantageous on a business level. You know what I mean? Outside of somebody having a background, in terms of grape, or in terms of you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at? Outside of that, we need to actually start dealing with each other and not being so competitive in terms of I'm better than him, or I got to have more than him, because we mess up a lot of money that way, man. We let our personal emotions get in the way of how we deal with each other, how we handle each other, when there's so much more opportunities available if we were together.
What I've gotten comfortable with, and it took work because you don't necessarily are taught to be comfortable with this concept as a kid and as you come into later life as a male. It's being comfortable with not being the smartest person in the room. You should want to be the dumbest person in the room at all times, because that means you're constantly absorbing new knowledge. That requires a humbling of your ego, and it requires a humbling of your center of self. Like I like being in rooms where I don't know nothing. Like everything that I'm getting is new. All the information that I'm getting is something I can learn from. If I'm in a room and I'm giving out all the advice, I'm giving out value, but I'm not getting anything out of it. At that point, I'm a charity organization at that point, bro. You know what I mean? But like for me, I need to be in rooms with people who know more than me, because anything else is wasted energy, man. But you got to be comfortable with that. A lot of people aren't wired ego wise to be able to be in that room, and I've had to work on that, but it's been extremely beneficial for me.
And then I'm gonna just say this lastly before we move on. it don't have to be necessary knowledge that you can learn. You can learn about how to like articulate better. You know how to like how to pivot. It's like little small gems that just having these conversations and you just seeing somebody's character, seeing somebody's personality, understanding how they, like run their network or how somebody um is able to work from home for the past like 15 years. Just so much things you can just gain just by observing and pay attention. And as you guys know, probably one of the people that pays that observes the most. Speak less, but observe the most. But I'm always just looking at different things, and I appreciate each and every last one of you guys and everybody that's been on the panel because I've gained something from you guys. I didn't even think that we had youth that could articulate until I seen like the Sways and the Cheekies and the Jedis and the JBs, and it's just like, damn, okay. Now I'm seeing that we do have some youth that has like some substance, but there is something to gain too from like a marketing point of view when it comes to the NBA young boys and like the little Dirks and stuff like that, seeing how they move. Because then I'm also able to understand how like we at the point where we don't understand a lot of things that are happening, and it's not for us to we need to understand it because that's what's going to be the new wave. So whether we like it or not, we're not going to be able to stop it. We're not going to be able to stop what the youth are doing and how they moving. So we got to learn and understand it, and how to uh, use it to our advantage, use it in a useful way because it's not going away. That social media not going. And look, fast forward, that's the new resume right now. You have less and less people writing resumes. Like your resume is what you putting out there. So a useful way would be to understand if we are in the public eye, we need to move a certain type of way. And I'm learning that myself. So you don't have to always learn something new. It could just be the way people move. So with that said, make sure you guys get the likes up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Something else Floyd said, one of the biggest mistakes he made in life is trusting. The only person you can trust is yourself. And this is one of the things that I often say all the time that I don't 100% trust anybody, and it's led me into some good places. I'm sensitive to the fact that she's my mother. I'm using her for an example, but have I called a line before? Yeah. It'd be something small, something, but she's guilty of it. Like we lie to ourselves. So if we can't even 100% trust ourselves, what make you think we should 100% trust anybody else? And it's no offense. If you're out here married, I would say you shouldn't 100% trust your wife. Only person that you can 100% trust is yourself. So when you hit upside the head or you call blindside, then you have a small percentage of self. Once you give your all, like every last bit, I live for her, I live for him, I live to this religion, whatever it may be, don't give 100. We don't know everything. And who's to say that what we look at is the standard? That's why I don't really speak too much about religion. Like I do believe it's a higher being, but I mean, I'm just going off what people been feeding me. Do I 100% know? No. So to play it safe, I'm a believer in a higher being. I do understand the energy that I put out there, and it's just based off experience. If I put out bad energy, I've seen bad things come to me. I put out good energy, good things will come. You got to be able to make that determination about life as a whole. You can't buy into 100% of anything. I don't care what nobody's saying. So when the people that's close to you, can be close to me, but I'm still watching you. I'm still watching. I'm watching everything. So that's just my thoughts on it. I think Floyd was right. You can't put trust in every single thing, man. But what are your guys' thoughts about it?
That's smart.
No,
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead. I'm just saying.
yeah, no, yeah. I think, like you were saying, Jr., you definitely have to question everything or look at stuff from a different perspective. Because what you notice is people will get new information and they'll just be hardcore about it. You know what I mean? Anything new you learn, it'll almost become a religion. And you see that in, born again Christians. They'll come up to you, oh, you cursing around me, or you doing this around me. You'll have, red pill people, so to speak. they get this new information and it's like, oh, it's almost like they're angry with women, like
red pill rage, baby.
yeah, that rage. So it's like, but it's almost, I equate it to having that new information and not taking a certain perspective where you ingest it, but you don't let it run you. You know what I mean? To the point where you're sitting here trying to convert people or vilifying people because they don't have that same perspective. You know what I mean? That's why I think, question everything, man. And in terms of trust, look for consistency. Never trust anything 100%, but look for consistency. Whether it's consistently negative or consistently positive, you know what to expect with it and you know how to navigate around it. You know what I mean? Even in my friendships, I respect consistency. I have a friend where fight breaks out, I know he's consistently leaving. I'd rather have that because I've already thought about it rather than a friend that's going to fight one time. Then the next situation, I'm thinking he's going to fight and he leaves and I get stomped. You know what I mean? So consistency.
Yeah. All right. I'll move on real quick again. Make sure you guys get them likes up. Get them likes up. We'll be finishing up in about 10 minutes. So I just want to just get through these last few points real quick. He said that he stayed laser focused because he wanted his dad to be proud of him first, and it wasn't self. And we often had these conversations of like why we do things in life. Is it to please others, or should we be doing it for ourselves? I guess that's the question at hand. I understand what he said when it came to fighting. Not sure if he says that with everything in his life, but again, just tying everything back to everyday life. Should we do things to please others? Should that be our motivation, or should we always do it for self? What are you guys' thoughts?
I want to kind of go back to what we you was talking about. I didn't get to answer the question, but
Okay, go ahead.
I take the mantra trust but verify. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, okay, I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna give you that opportunity to be real with me, to be honest with me. But I'm gonna verify what you're saying at the same time. I mean, you got people in the chat. They do they do verification for us. You know, they hold us accountable, make sure we get the answers right. That's cool. I'm cool with it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm human. I'm gonna make mistakes. I promise you that. But I take the mantra trust but verify. But now, like we was talking about, invest into yourself. You got to, Jr. You have to invest in yourself. And as far as I know he did that to make his dad proud, man. Even if he's proud or not, man, you got to do it for yourself. At the end of the day, you got to do it for yourself because you got a lot of people that depended on you. And so I got to come through. I can't fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your why is so important, bro. Your why is so that right there is the heart of the matter if you're ever going to succeed in anything, man. Like you have to identify your why. And here's the interesting thing about the why. Being around the people that I'm around, like people I do my business with or whatever, the why is very diverse. And it's very diverse and it can be high-minded why, it can be low-minded why, but if your why fuels you, it doesn't matter. Like, so I two guys that do business with. One guy's like, I want to, you know what I'm saying, like buy, a couple of more 3 flats so I can go to China and like learn kung fu. I'm like, yo, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your life's dream or whatever. Like, do you like that his why is something I can't relate to, but I know dudes out here, who basically want to, make a lot of money so they can lay up with different women every night and not have to work to get those women or whatever. But it gets them both up at 9 a.m. to hit them phones, to get out there and cold call. So I think your why is important regardless of what the why is, because a lot of people in this world don't even have one. We can argue back and forth about what's healthy, what's toxic, what's not, but the vast majority of people don't even know what a why is. And that's the most important, is identifying, because how many people get
Oh, you went on mute. You
You
on mute.
muted,
Hey,
David.
My
David.
bad. How many
You
people
said how
gonna get
many
up?
people what?
How many people are going to get up and go to work on Monday because they have to, and not because they want to? They got to go because if they don't pay rent, they're going to get evicted. They got to go because if they don't do, they're not going to eat. Having a why is so important because now you have a greater goal in mind, and now your mind starts to open. Okay, what can I do to do more? How can I be more effective? When you ain't got no why, is you going through the motions until I drop dead. That's a bad place to be.
I look at
Absolutely.
my mom and my stepdad, and it's like sometimes I'm not trying to shit on them, but I just wonder like how can you be so complacent for your whole like for this long? You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't really progress in life. They're kind of just where they are, and they're just living the same, same lifestyle for they're like they live in the same lifestyle for the past 20, 30 years, and it's not like they've improved. It's they just the same 70K overall yearly or 40K overall yearly, and they just living, you know what I mean? There's no investments, there's no self-improvements, there's no going back to school, there's not like you know what I mean? I'm like, how can you? I couldn't do that. 20 years? You in the same spot that you were in 20 years ago? And I get it. If that's just the lifestyle you want to live, and you're not trying to be extra, you just want to live a comfortable life, then that's on you. But personally, I don't see how people can be complacent and stay in the same spot they
It's
were 20 years
yeah,
ago.
it's relative. There are guys. Okay, you know, there are guys right now who have 7 figures in the bank, and guys with nine asking them, "Why aren't you investing your money better to get up here with me?" You know, I know
I
it
think there is a
sounds.
cutoff though. There's a line where it's like, what is the cutoff of happiness? And I think they have that. It's like what 120,000 or something. It's like
Yeah,
after
I
that, your
don't
level of
know.
happiness ain't
Yeah,
going up based off of money. So
but
there's a
I get,
cutoff.
yeah, but maybe that was a bad example. But what I'm trying to say is it depends on, you know, yeah, like okay, so you go through the drive-through or whatever, which I should got no business doing, and I sit there and I look at somebody. I've been in drive-throughs when I look at a dude that's like the same age as me working at McDonald's. I'm like, damn, like what's going on, man? Like this is really as best as you can get. But if I had to check myself because I was like, what if this dude was just did 15 years in the bank and he had been trying for 3 months to get a job, and if McDonald's was like the first hit he got on in 3 months, and he appreciate this job more than anything because he got his freedom and some income. So I think you gotta put it in perspective on that level too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a couple of more topics. Let me get up out of here real quick. Um, some Floyd said also as well as you get older, you understand that you don't want no beef with anyone. You don't want no beef with anyone. I think this is important, especially the time we live in where everybody's competing with one another, and it's always getting to the point where it's like serious. I can honestly say I don't have no beef with anyone. I don't have no beef. I don't even want that burden. Um, it's just as you get older, it's not even worth it. I'm not about creating enemies just for the hell of it. I want to move in a certain way where I'm just trying to spread as much positivity as I can and just being above all the bullshit. So I think that was important to highlight along with everything else, man. We getting older, man. We can't even if you're young, like what does beef do? And I get it when it comes to sports. It's not really a beef, right? It's just you guys being competitive. Even when it comes to rap, we can have a conversation and say it ain't nothing personally, but I think that when feelings and emotions start getting involved, when you just taking it to heart so serious, like taking it to a whole nother level, then it's just being extra. That's not the stuff that we should be promoting. All of this, the things that come with it, the consequences that come with it, the uncontrollables that come with it. I think that we have to have more control over these situations. So you guys can speak about it real quickly,
Yeah,
man.
beef and
If you
rivalry, beef and rivalry are two different things. Beef can be very personal. You talking about it's a lot of ad hominem. Y'all come for each other, baby mamas or whatever. Personal attacks. Rivalry is y'all all about y'all craft in the game and the sport or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? I'm sure they talk about LeBron and KD. They ain't got beef. It's a rivalry there, man. It's been number one, number two for the past 10, 15 years since 2012. You know what I mean? Since they went to the finals, it's been 1-1A. That's a rivalry. That's not a beef. If they came online or in person and calling each other bitches and making fun of each other ad hominem, not their craft in the game, like, oh, I'm better than you at the game, that's just rivalry. But when it's personal, it's a beef. And I think a lot of times what JR said is when you make it personal, it can feel like a beef. And when you talking about these rappers, they make it personal way too much, to the extent that it could be harmful to the people around them, because now you got gang members not even trying to come for you, they trying to come for your brother, your cousin, your family. Like, that's too much. You can't get into these personal beefs. It's cool to have a rivalry, you know what I mean, but you look at Biggie Pac, that was more than a rivalry. At some point they start talking about each other's baby mamas, they started talking about all types of stuff. So that was a beef at some point. When it got personal, it was a rivalry at first when you kept it music, but once you get personal, it's a whole lot of craziness.
Yeah. I think that's a reflection of his age, though, man. I think it's just as we age, we just ain't got time for it. We ain't got time for the drama. We just our taste for drama, just for most rational adults, taste seems to taper off as you get older. I mean, there's just some ignorant people who just gonna always love drama because it fuels them. But I think, especially as men, like, it's funny you brought that up because like a couple of weeks ago, I'm out and I'm seeing two dudes get into it. Man, at 22, I'd have been, you pull out, a phone. Well, not at 22. We ain't had a camera. Did we have a camera phone? I don't know. But what I'm saying is like my attention span for it was much greater at 22. I'd have been wanting to sit there, take it in, see if anybody gonna get swung on. Now I'm somebody daddy in a grocery store, just, like somebody, are in a grocery store. I'm just gonna go 4 hours down because I just don't want to hear it and I just want to go home. He's just probably hitting. He's hitting that healthy age, where you slow down and you just kind of have a bigger perspective about what's going on around you. You appreciate peace more than you appreciate chaos, man.
Yeah,
I think
I'm too old for that bullshit. I'm for I'm 46. I ain't got time for this shit, man. Kiss my ass. We ain't beefing, man. That's some shit like you said I did when I was a child. I was, 20, like you said, 20 something years old. 46. I ain't beast. I ain't got time for that. We gonna talk this out, and if we can't, then I'm gonna
Let's
excuse
beef.
myself from the situation. I ain't got time for
right,
that, dude.
And dudes
right.
are built different now. Like you can beef with somebody, back in the 80s or the 90s, and yeah, gunplay might get involved, but
You're on mute. It went on mute, Avon.
my bad. Like back in the day, you know what I'm saying? You have beef with somebody, gunplay might get involved if it's something super serious. Now everybody's got a gun, and everybody's very sensitive now. So it just it is there's no win in that. The beef is silly, man. Beef will get you dead and broke.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want you guys to tune in. We got one more topic to bring up, but before I do, make sure you guys tune in to Sage Talk. That's at 2 p.m. Central Time, right here on the network. Sage Talk with Lee. What image do we want to project as Black men?
Oh man,
What image do we want to project as Black men? That
great
talk,
conversation.
and I think Kosha, the clinician, is supposed to be pulling up as well with Lee in the beginning. So make sure you guys tap in. I'm gonna put that link in the chat for you right now, so you guys can click on it and set your reminder. There it is, right there. I just posted it in the chat, but that's happening at 2 p.m. Central Time. So that's roughly in about hour and a half. What image do we want to project as Black men? So make sure you guys check that out next. All right, moving on to our last topic of the night. I mean, not tonight. I'll be doing so many goddamn shows. Uh, no matter what you do, it's never good enough for anyone. Can't worry about what people think. This is what Floyd said. And again, we are unpacking the conversation that he had, the interview that he had on the Pivot podcast. And this is what Floyd said, man. And I totally relate to this, man. I'm always one of those people that didn't ever care what anybody else said. When I first came on to YouTube, I didn't care shit about YouTube, but I just gave it a try. Went on YouTube. I didn't really care about a niche. I just want to talk about whatever it is I want to talk about. And to this day, I move how I want to move. Whatever I want to do, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't have to fit in with everybody else. I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to be above. I'm trying to do it my way. I got some things that I plan on testing, and it's because it's what I want to do. When I do this, when if you guys don't come to this live show, you're gonna be missing something epic because I'm gonna make sure that it's an experience like no other. I got so many things that's running through my head, and I know I can't fit everything in there, but best believe I am going to make sure that the experience is epic. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. So go ahead and get the tickets. That link is posted at the top of the chat. But let's talk about this last topic, and we'll go ahead and get up out of here. Oh, speak at once, fellas.
Hold on, I had a question real quick. Are y'all gonna stream the live show, or is just straight live show? You have to be there to see it.
It's gonna be recorded. It's gonna be recorded. We're still gonna have our regular show on Thursday. That's not gonna be because we got a few things that's happening throughout the weekend that's gonna be documented. So definitely people will be able to get an idea of the experience because the next city is gonna be Atlanta. That's gonna be our next city. So
I could probably make that one more than the Houston one.
Yeah. So it's definitely gonna be something, and we're gonna keep growing, man. That's the vision. I don't want to be the same. I want to stand out. I want us to be making sure we bringing some dope experiences. So, but go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Nah, man. I don't know how much documentary you gonna do with my man Logic down there. He might want to get wild and loose.
All right, man. That's fine. We're gonna document that too. I already been talking to Logic, man. Logic.
God damn.
Logic over there talking about these 30-foot cords and stuff like that, man. And we testing out some things. We're gonna pull it together, man. I plan on bringing the whole gang down there, trying to make sure everybody down there, man, to experience this. So yeah, it's gonna be. It is what it is. Like I'm one of those people that like once you get to the moment, it ain't gonna really matter what you got. You got to work with what you got right in that moment. So like whatever it is you forgot, whatever it is that wasn't prepared, that's over now. We are at the moment, so let's execute. And we might have to go over and beyond. We might have to compensate for some things that we forgot or didn't. That's just how I look at life, man. We can't keep looking back and complaining. We just got to look at what's in front of us right now, and then ask ourselves, what we gonna do about it? What we gonna do?
Fail forward.
Yeah.
Fail forward.
Well, shit. What you saying goes right into that. The question you're asking. What does it matter? It's never good enough for somebody or anyone. Man, look, as long as I'm good with whatever I do, that's all that matters to me. And that's all I care about. It doesn't matter what you think, how you feel, none of that matters to me. As long as I'm comfortable with it, as long as I'm good with it. Cause I'm trying to be successful. I'm a hog about my money. And if you stand in the way of me getting my money, that's a problem. Then I'm gonna do what I gotta do to get around you, get over you, or get beneath you. But you're not gonna stop my money. So I'm not gonna I don't care what people think, how they feel. Like I said, I don't. And I'm gonna move on with it.
I think in this new age where it's so easy for people to get their their opinions and thoughts out publicly, that a lot of times when you are on, like even us, like when we see the comments or whatever, like the biggest issue we have when people saying stuff about us in the comments or just, talking about us, it's like if they're misreflecting how we believe or what we say and stuff like that. And that's kind of where we get dragged into it with worrying about what they say. It's like, that's not what I said. That's not what I believe. That's not what I think. So how are you just going to put this information out there that that's the type of person I am, or that's the type of person, those are ideas that I have, but that's not what I said. That's not what I believe. That's just the way you perceive and reflect it off of what I say. You know what I mean? A lot of people be nitpicking and taking what they want to hear or what you say and then pushing that narrative. So we could talk about, the whole situation with Black women. If you hold them accountable for anything, you hate Black women. You hate your mama. You know what I mean? Why can't we talk about weight? It's like, oh, you know what I mean? So that if we get so wrapped up in what people think and how they perceive us, it can tarnish the message that we're trying to give and the purpose that we're on. And so I truly try not to get wrapped up in the comments. I truly try not to get wrapped up in what people say about me, especially if I know I have solid individuals who are wise and who knows what they're talking about. You're not just an average Joe co-signing what I'm saying and also understands what I'm saying, and I'm not just crazy. You know what I mean? So if 80% of the people agree with me and 20% don't, I could give no fucks. Now, if 80% disagree with you and only 20% don't, then you might have to self-reflect on what you're saying. So that's just what I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think when you stop thinking about what people feel and think about you, when you lessen that, I mean, I think there's never gonna be 100%. I don't care what people think. You know what I mean? It's just human nature, yo. But I think when you get the percentages higher, you enjoy life a lot more, man. You become more of yourself, because when you're worried about what people think, man, people are so finicky that they can love you one day, they can hate you the next. They can love you on this show and hate you 20 minutes later on another show. You know what I mean? So if you're judging who you are and what you're trying to become based upon what somebody else is trying to, you know, mold you to be, you're not gonna have a personality of yourself, man. You're gonna be a caricature of what people created. You know, I just noticed that when I started being more of myself and stopped caring what people say, I had a lot more fun. You know what I mean? Sense of humor. Like this world we're in, man, like everything is very serious. There's a lot of negative surrounding us on a daily basis. We wake up, we look in our phones, it's nothing but bad news, you know, because that's what they're promoting. There's good news, but the bad news is what gets the attention. That's what everybody's promoting. So in the midst of all the chaos, man, you kind of have to have a sense of humor. You have to look at the silver lining. You can't let all of that kind of engulf you, you know. So be yourself, man. Look for the silver lining. You can't please people, man.
Yeah, you can't reach everybody.
Yeah. Look, the most freeing, thing that I've felt in the last 5-10 years of my life is not giving a damn. And when I left my good government job. I left my good government job about 3 years ago, and I still to this day have people asking me, "How dare? Well, why would you do that?" And they just can't fathom a life outside of working a 9 to 5, especially if you got a good one. And I came to realize it's all based in fear. And when you don't give a fuck, you really just have a lack of fear. Not like, okay, I fear falling off a building or I feel drowned. It's the fear of not fitting into what everybody else is doing, or the fear of not having a fear of aligning yourself with everybody else. Like I still to this day have people from the school system asking me, do I want to come back? Even though I've told them multiple times I've made more money doing what I do now than I ever did working for Chicago public school system. But they think that lifestyle that I'm living, or the space that I'm in, is precarious for some reason. And people's give a fuck comes from fear. And if you can get fear out of you, you can conquer the world, bro.
Yep. That's great advice, man. Great advice, man. Well, fellas, it's been a great show, man. Definitely appreciate y'all. We just through unpacking the Floyd Mayweather and the Pivot podcast interview. So that was definitely great, man. Again, make sure you guys tune in to Sage Talk with Lee, featuring Kosha Clinician. That's happening at 2 p.m. Central Time. What image do we want to project as Black men? I heard Sway say, "Ooh," so I'm assuming you're gonna be there, Sway.
Oh, I'm gonna be there, man. I ain't got work today. Today my day off, so I would definitely tune in. I would definitely catch a game, because this seems like a great conversation to have, especially with Mr. Lee. Oof,
It always is. It always is.
I just got to posting that in the chat, man. So click that link. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. If you guys want a reminder, just click that link that I just posted, the Sage Talk, and it should be a button that says reminder or something like that, and then you guys will be all good. So, man, with that being said, we are going to be out of there. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Much love. Good afternoon.
All right, y'all.
All right, fellas.
Have a good one.
Damn.
Hey, that thumbnail fire. I don't know what you're talking about, Michael H. Guess what? I do what I want to do. I don't get no fuck. Appreciate the support, though. Thank you.
He said a thumbnail. Oh, you petty.
All right,
You got the blue collar. You got the businessman. You got Lil Nas X, and you got the Pookie. Catch that Sage Talk at 2 p.m. family. 2 p.m. Central Time. That should be coming up roughly in about an hour and 52 minutes. Something like that. You know what it is. I'm messing with you, Michael H. No, I'm not. I don't care. That like button, family. Appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all click that link, man. Get your T.H. Hanley sound. Shout out to the sponsor, T.H. Hanley. Shout out to T.H. Hanley. Catch that Sage Talk at 2 p.m. What image do we want to project as black men? That's at 2 p.m. Central Time, family. What image? That's a good question. What image, y'all?